At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu. With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another live episode of Reconnected. It's Thursday, and I am super stoked to be here with somebody that I've been following for a couple of years at least now, and I know that feeling's mutual. This is the screenwriter, Mr. Andreas Petersen. How are we doing, sir?
Good. How are you doing? Good to be here.
I'm well. It's nice to see you. For those that have not seen the thumbnail for tonight or read the description, Andreas is the screenwriter for a couple of films that have come out through OCN distribution over the last couple of years. We've got Attack of the Demons, which was released by Dark Star Pictures, and then the quite recent Cartooner release. That was just an April title?
April, yeah.
The second one is When You Get to the Forest. So stoked. I'm so glad you're here. This is amazing.
Yeah, no, it's as I've mentioned to you like many times, like even just seeing Disconnected like announce those disc releases was sort of like a pinch me moment for me because I've been following for so long. So it was very cool.
I don't get to feel like a celebrity often, so thank you. That's incredible. I guess the big thing we got to go into these movies first. Tell everybody about Attack of the Demons because these are two quite unique films when you hear titles like that.
Yeah, so the two movies that I got. That I have written that have been made. The first one was Attack of the Demons, and both of these movies were directed and animated by the Austin-based animator Eric Power, who works in construction paper animation, like stop motion. And so our first movie that we made together was Attack of the Demons, which was our kind of send-up of, Bava's Demons or, like sort of like super goopy 80s horror, like pseudo comedies. So we got that, that came out in 2020 and it was just sort of like this, very long process of getting it made. So Eric is the lone animator on the movies. And so we spent like 3 years kind of trying to muster a budget together wow. And eventually like just got crossed over that finish line of getting into production. And then he spent the next 2 years animating it. And then, it finally came out in 2020. That was a very crazy experience for that to be like my first movie that ever got made. Right. Just sort of like, cause I had always, I think every screenwriter has these, ideas of what their career will be. And I always envisioned that, it would be such a fast process. And I never knew that I was going to kind of start off my career writing animated films. And it was just this incredibly slow, laborious process where Eric was sending me like clips that he'd be like, okay, I spent, 2 weeks on this. Here's 3 minutes of footage. Right. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. That's definitely, a movie I'm very happy with, albeit definitely watch it now and be like, oh yeah, that's definitely my first movie.
Well, I mean, one thing that's really cool to be able to go through your social media and see some of these things is like your first reaction to seeing a poster outside a theater of a movie that you made, or
Mhm.
just being able to see that it's getting a physical media release. So tell me about a couple of those first experiences. Like, how does it feel to make your first film?
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I remember when Attack of the Demons premiered. So that premiered at Cinepocalypse in Chicago in 2019, and that was the first time I had ever had a movie in any sort of film festival or anything like that. And I remember going to the Music Box Theater, which is where the festival was, and just like seeing the name on the marquee, and it was insane. Like, I still have not gotten over that. Like, even just like, I remember when Attack of the Demons got announced by Dark Star and it was going to be released through Vinegar Syndrome or through Vinegar Syndrome site and OCN. Like, I'd been a fan of Vinegar Syndrome for so long. It was funny. I donated to their Kickstarter that like was before Vinegar Syndrome was Vinegar Syndrome, when they were doing those restorations of those lost Herschel Gordon Lewis movies. And like, I still have like that email. When we were announced on Vinegar Syndrome, like I found that email and was like, when I contributed to the Kickstarter and stuff. So it was just like very serendipitous and cool.
Yeah.
And I still don't get over it. Like, I remember going to the Draft House, Alamo Draft House in Austin, where When You Get to the Forest played it played a couple showings as part of their like World of Animation series. And even then, that was the first time I'd ever been to an Alamo Draft House, and like seeing the poster like in the hallway with like all these other, amazing, just current releases and stuff. And like, I don't know, it's just I'm still very much in that phase where like I get so caught up in like the emotions of seeing that stuff that it hasn't gotten old to me like at all yet. It hasn't worn out its welcome.
That's great. Was Attack of the Demons the first film that you did anything on, or because I know that wasn't Eric's first film, was it?
No, it wasn't. So Eric's first movie was a samurai movie, also cut paper animation, called Path of Blood, and actually Synapse.
You mean one? That
is the one. Yeah, Synapse put that out, and that's a great. I mean, I love that movie, and that was so. But Attack of the Demons was my first like movie, my first feature that ever got made, and the first, I don't know, real, not just sort of like dicking around short movie that I ever made.
That's a big deal. And then to be able to have it make an impact. And these things are special. Like when you say construction paper, for those that haven't seen a clip of this or the trailer or anything, what does that mean? Because my God, like trying to explain this, it's so much more beautiful than you can prepare yourself for on these.
Yeah, right. Like, so Eric is a wizard. I got to visit his studio when I went out for those Draft House screenings, because he's based in Austin, and so like I cannot believe the stuff that he accomplishes with just cut out construction paper. And I know Eric will kill me for evoking this comparison, but I think the best like touchstone that there is for people is it is very similar to how early South Park was made. So it is just, he cuts out the shapes in construction paper and then moves them around. It's almost like puppetry, and just takes picture after picture after picture after picture. It is just a laborious process. And also Eric is very, very old school. He does not want everything you see in the movies is real. Like it exists on his table. Like he doesn't use computer generated graphics for anything. Like all the sort of like particle effects and sand effects and shadow effects and everything is actual, like something that he has layered on top of on his studio table.
Yeah, that's incredible. And that's the thing with this is it's clearly animation in the classic sense of the word, but it's this amazing like tactile feeling as you're watching this, that it's like something that you can reach out and touch, which is such a different experience for those that are not immersed in animation quite often. So I love stuff like this. It just like pushing the medium to the edge that people aren't prepared for.
Yeah, no, and I mean like he works a lot with like again, like he's very particular about wanting to create that sort of tactile feel, and like the way, because like a lot of the stuff he does is like water painted, and like he'll add like, you know, he'll kind of wet the paper a little bit to add texture to it, and it's just, I don't know, it's nothing I ever would have imagined as like, you know, again, sort of going beyond something like South Park, where that, you know, served the purpose of what that show was, but like, I don't know. I always admired his ability to just sort of take that medium and just run with it. And even since we made When You Get to the Forest, I've seen some of the test footage that he's doing for what we're hoping is going to be our next feature together, and it's unbelievable. Like the stuff he does, like the way he's like capturing dimension and lighting now is just like, I cannot believe it. Like I can't believe the stuff he's accomplishing.
Well, what about you? Did you set out to write an animated film, or did you have a different thing in mind when you first got started?
Yeah, so I definitely didn't. And so I guess it's not that I like ever had anything against it. It was just that like growing up and like starting out as a wannabe screenwriter, just sort of wrote what I wanted to see as a movie. And it was there. So there was a script I wrote in 2014 that I wrote for a screenwriting class that I was taking. And it was a very not great script that was sort of like, it was like Critters meets like teddy bears. Like it was about stuffed teddy bears sort of overrunning a town. And like, I wrote that just thinking like, yeah, this would be a fun like live action movie. And then when it got kind of found by a producer, that producer envisioned it as an animated movie, and that's where he introduced me to Eric. And so ever since then, I've been working like in close collaboration with Eric, and so that's, you know, why the projects I have gotten the most, you know, the furthest down the line and actually produced have all been animated.
Nice. So what about your general taste for films? What are you into? What do you love to watch?
Oh man, I love, it's such a hackneyed answer, but I love everything so much. I find that like I'm the most fulfilled when I am like having like a very wide variety of movies. Like I hate getting into a mode where I'm watching like the same thing over and over again, whether it's, you know, just kind of watching nothing but horror, nothing but, you know, drama, nothing but sci-fi. And like, it's kind of funny. Like we all do it. Like when October rolls around, we're all just watching horror movies.
Yep.
Like, of course, like, why wouldn't we? That's like, but like when I get to November, I'm just like, oh my God, I just want to watch something other than a horror movie right now. But that being said, I mean, like, I feel like if I had to really say where my inclinations lie is with horror, I feel like maybe 60 to 70% of what I watch is horror movies. But again, I try to see a wide variety of stuff because I don't know. I like movies of every genre, every medium, every country. I don't know. There's so much good stuff out there.
Well, you're working with construction paper. You mentioned that you love Vinegar Syndrome, so clearly you must love physical media. So what's the history there?
Yeah. Okay. So it's funny. It's very nice being here to talk about this because I feel like this is the kind of thing I'm very passionate about in like casual conversation with people who could give less of a shit about like physical media. But so I was trying to think about it, and like for me, I always grew up around physical media. Like so growing up, my dad was really, really into movies. Like my dad had this incredible VHS collection, and it was kept in this one closet in our downstairs. And it was like one of those drawers you pull out that just had like, you know, it was like 12 VHSs deep.
Yeah.
And it was just rack after rack after rack after rack in this closet. And then my dad kept this list that was like cataloging, like, okay, I want to watch this movie. It's in this drawer. Nice. And so I just always had access to that. And it was just like, there was something about just having that available growing up that was so nice. Like every time we had sleepovers or anything like that, we could watch whatever we wanted. Like any movie that anyone could ever think of, like we weren't, you know, limited to you know, like the 4 Disney movies that people typically had or something like that. And so I just grew up with that ability to just kind of always have access to that. And then, so when I got like a PS2 back in like 2001, that's when I started building my DVD collection. And there was something just so nice about like having this small little shelf of my movie collection and then being like, oh, this is like, this is like a representation of what I love. And it just never stopped from there. Like I always just kept up with making sure that I was buying the movies that like I love, new ones coming out. And then like just as physical media, I mean, those Wild West DVD days, like the shit I was buying at Best Buy was insane. Like you could get like Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS at Best Buy. Like it was nuts.
With 3 different cover options.
It was so nuts. And like, and it just like from that, like when that sort of like DVD boom happened and it was just every horror movie was coming out on DVD and for pretty cheap. And it was just, I was inhaling that stuff. And before I knew it, my collection was just absurdly big because this was like the one thing I spent money on. And it was just, I don't know, there was just no looking back from there. And then as streaming kind of overtook, I got very passionate about like, well, no, I like having access to the stuff I want. And like, I've heard so many people complain about like, I want to watch this movie, but it's not streaming on anything. And I never have that problem. So it's just very, 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 very passionate about that, about having that access. And it goes back to when I was a kid.
Well, on that note, Where Spock wants to know, does your dad still have his VHS collection?
Unfortunately, no. My parents are both in like their mid to late 70s, and so they're kind of downsizing. And unfortunately, he did give it away. So
the catalog got too hard to read. I get it.
Yeah.
So some rapid fire questions for everybody. How big is that collection nowadays? If you've been collecting that long?
Oh my gosh! So I've got, I think, roughly 4,000 movies in mine right now. I know that's actually not, I mean, I feel like amongst this company, that might be sort of like rookie numbers, but I think I have about 4,000 discs right now.
Not too bad.
Yeah, no. And I've and a lot of that has been like slowly replacing the DVDs I had with Blu-rays. And now I'm in the phase of like tracking down the 4Ks of replacing those Blu-rays. And so it's a never ending dance.
So on that note, the never-ending dance, are you upgrading everything to 4K or like favorite films or what? What
depends. So I think for me, if there is a 4K out and it's it's an upgrade. I mean, like we all know that like every once in a while a 4K comes out that's supposed to not be that great. Yeah. And I avoid those, but like if I bought a movie and I want it in my collection, I want to have the best available version of it. And so I will upgrade, I will do the 4K of a movie that maybe isn't my favorite, but just I like having it. I like, the time that I actually want to pull out and watch, Congo. Like, I'm glad that I have the 4K of it, the beautiful Vinegar Syndrome restoration of Congo.
I love that you could say that sentence here in 2045. That's amazing. So who would you say takes up the most space as a company in those 4,000 discs?
Oh, geez. I mean, it's probably Vinegar Syndrome. But I let me think. So it's Vinegar Syndrome. I mean, a good amount of them are Scream Factory because a lot of those, like, there's a used record store where I live that every once in a while they just have like, they have like just a swath of like $5 Scream Factory releases. But I would say more often than not, it's either, honestly what it is it's Vinegar Syndrome and it's Severin, because those are the two that have biannual sales that I just spend way too much money on every 6 months.
Yeah. You and I were lamenting about the sales earlier today. It's going to be a lot to discuss tonight on that.
I am not looking forward to it wallet wise, but like I am so excited about the other end of that. But right now it is so daunting.
It's a lot. There's a lot happening right now. It's kind of that time of the year. We're between the VS and the Severance sale, and Criterion is supposed to hit tonight. We got others to talk about. There's a lot. Before we get into our normal segments, what's like a dream release? Favorite boutique company? A favorite movie that doesn't have a great release? What would you want on it? What type of release? Hard box? What are we getting?
Jeez. So for the longest time, man, and this is like no disrespect to the companies that put out the Blu-rays for these, because like the two that I always had were that I would love a 4K release for are Fritz the Cat and The Story of Ricky. Those are two, for whatever reason, for a long time I just wanted, and I fully say that I think Kino's Blu-ray of Fritz the Cat, I am so thankful that exists. And 88 Films release of Story of Ricky is great. It is an insane upgrade over the original Blu-ray that came out.
It was awful.
Right? I was so disappointed when I got that. But those are two that, like, for me, like, I remember before either of those movies had those releases on Blu-ray, like before Fritz the Cat had come out and before that 88 Story of Ricky came out, I definitely fantasized about Vinegar Syndrome restoring those and putting those out. I mean, I don't know logistically, like rights wise, I don't know. I feel like that's not too outside of the realm with
not
Fritz.
Anymore.
Yeah, but like, that being said, like, again, I love the Kino Blue of that. So don't want to dance on that. Sound too disappointed there. Like, I'm just happy that those exist, but I would die for a really nice 4K of both those movies.
Well, and honestly, they're both very much in the realm of possibility. I mean, Fritz the Cat is Bakshi, and Bakshi had been attached to Coonskin, obviously, and Vinegar Syndrome, Once Upon a Dream, had announced Coonskin, and then that fell through.
They did? I didn't know that.
Not as like a monthly release, but on social media they were like, "We've acquired Coonskin, and it'll be coming out in a few months." And then something happened.
Oh God,
they've never said anything else about it.
I'm like immediately like excited and so disappointed.
Well, this was like 9 years ago, so okay. I'm sorry everybody that just went, "What?"
You've dashed my dreams quite greatly.
Obviously, since the 88 Films Ricky O, like Vinegar Syndrome has dove into the Asian films a lot. So if anybody's going to get it in the US, it would make sense that it would be them.
I would love it. I think that would be awesome. Again, love the releases that I have now. They are great releases, but those two I would love a 4K for.
I would not complain about either. What's crazy to me, I guess I should say, tonight after the announcements, we're talking about 5 animated films that we love that are grown-up movies, not necessarily for kids. And I don't know what it was, but my feeling today, I did not end up, I'll just spoil it now, with a Bakshi on my list. And I was like, how do I have no Bakshi? But it just sort of landed that way. My taste has been different lately, but I grew up loving Bakshi. And it was great to have Fritz the Cat just randomly mentioned. It was perfect.
Yeah. I will bring up Bakshi again. Don't worry.
Great. Well, on that note, what are some recent pickups you got that you want to share with everybody?
So, most recently, the two like big ones that I got were, I haven't had the chance to dive in yet, but I'm so excited about the Terror Vision Shoestring Slashers box set. Yeah. I love that stuff so much. I love I was so stoked that they were putting out Sledgehammer. I love what they're doing with the shot on video stuff, like the love and care that they're putting into those like bottom barrel slasher movies that just, I don't know, like they're so great. And so I've been really, really excited to dive into that. Like I pre-ordered that like the second it came out and it finally arrived. And then I finally got my halfway to Black Friday Vinegar Syndrome. And so it's funny, this is like an insight into like my method for buying stuff. Like I very rarely will buy stuff right when it comes out. Like very like unless it's like a movie I loved and need to see it like the second it's out on 4K, I'll do that. But more often than not, I'll just kind of wait until the price drops. And with the biannual sales with Vinegar Syndrome and Severin, like what I typically am buying throughout the year is I'm like panic buying stuff that's going out of print. with Vinegar Syndrome, like that's what I do. Like when the first thing I do when they have a sale is I go straight to that going out of print tab, and I'm just like, okay, what is, because they usually mark them down for so cheap.
Yep.
And so this time it was just all, movies that either were going out of print, or it was their VSA titles that they only do like a limited number of that were below a certain threshold that I had to get. So like recently I picked up the 3 VSA titles. They Call Me Macho Woman,
Nice.
Love on Delivery, which I was so stoked I got a copy of before it sold out. And then An Eye for an Eye. Like I'm very, very excited to check that one out. But like I just I'm super excited to like dive into that set, because I just like, I don't know, the VSA titles are the ones that I usually for some reason like I just gel with the most.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're video store titles usually, so that kind of fits with your background, what you were talking about.
Yeah, and then the other one that like because I know Fun City Editions has kind of been because I think they're leaving OCN, if I remember correctly, or like phasing out of OCN, that they announced that they had some titles going out of print too. And it was like, because they announced it was like Alphabet City and Coca-Cola Kid were going out of print. And I've been dying to pick up both of those. And I just immediately went on, because they were both like up to like $35 on Amazon. And I went on eBay. I was able to get them for like 20. And so, but I watched Alphabet City like right when I got it. And I loved that movie.
It's a great one.
That's it. I panic buy these movies that are going out of print and make sure I don't lose out on them. And then, but those are my recent pickups.
So now we know your habits. You put yourself through a heart attack. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
On the other hand, one of the things I do is I try to save like points, or if I get like a gift card as a gift, or like I think this one was like a return that I had to get an Amazon gift card for some reason, and I wasn't going to get this, but then it dropped low enough where I could literally just spend a gift card on it. So I just got in the 4K of Kingdom of Heaven.
Ooh.
And it's, as you can see, quite an embossed steelbook.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I don't really love steelbooks as much as I used to, but it's a nice one, and it'll look great. And then, talking about animated films, this just might be the most epic, I guess, is like the small word to say this, because this is a masterpiece that is like the largest scale animation I've ever seen. Tragedy of Man from Deaf Crocodile. This is something that has been coming together for literally, does it say it's been like 23 years in the making. And this thing is 2.5 hours long, and it mixes a whole bunch of different animation styles, and Deaf Crocodile crushed it with this release. It is absolutely incredible. One that was very interesting to me when they announced it, and you talked about the Music Box Theater earlier, their physical media company, Music Box Films, just released Ephus, this baseball movie, and it's this thing just sounds so, I don't know, homey, I guess is like a fun way to say it. Just a bunch of dudes playing on a baseball field that's about to get leveled. And then the big thing that I'm excited about, this is very late, but for everybody that's a subscriber on the Patreon to this, I finally got in the 19th issue of the Physical Media Advocate, the issues of the magazine I print. So you'll be getting shipping on those probably tomorrow. Stoked on that finally. But yeah, it's been a good couple weeks. Good couple weeks for releases.
I know. Yeah. I think like the one that like the most recently that I was just like, I had to like, I want that Vinegar Syndrome Dirty Work release so bad. Like that. It's funny, like Dirty Work was a movie that I loved growing up, like just as like an immature, like 14-year-old boy. But like that video they released about the work that went into restoring the director's cut of it just was so emblematic of everything I love about Vinegar Syndrome, film restoration, like just the fact that it was, and then the fact that it was for Dirty Work was, I don't know, that was like one of those movies where I was just like, I know I usually don't buy stuff like right when it comes out, but that, yeah, I really want that one.
It's worth it. And the fact that they were selling so many that they were like, well, hold on, we need to increase the print run. Like, it's doing pretty well at that point. That's great. Over the last couple of weeks, what have you been watching that you want to talk about? And any great movies?
Yeah, so I think for me, like I just watched, so I guess in terms of maybe like the most recent movies that I've watched that like I really loved, like that have come out, like I loved, I mean, I loved Bring Her Back, which was actually kind of interesting because like I liked Talk to Me.
Yeah.
But I wasn't bought in as much as everyone else was. But Bring Her Back just like knocked my socks off.
Yep.
That I just thought that was such a spectacular movie. And then also just again, very kind of, I mean, everyone and their mother loves it. Like I thought Sinners was fantastic. That's one that I cannot wait to get the 4K for, because I saw it in like the most rinky dink little theater, with like the worst lighting ever. And it was still amazing. And then, also I feel like Shudder has been kind of killing it this year. Like I feel like Shudder does like enough, like a mishmash of stuff that it's sort of like, you know, it's kind of a mixed bag where I feel like, I kind of liked that one wasn't for me. I just feel like this year, like I loved Ugly Stepsister. I thought Ugly Stepsister was fantastic. I'm so stoked. I saw that Diabolic was going to get like 4Ks of that from Germany, I think. Like I'm super excited about that. And then, also two movies that I wanted to throw a shout out to that I just feel that came out this year that I feel like are criminally underseen, that I want to urge everyone to see. First one is Bystanders, these are both from Dread Pictures. So Bystanders is this fantastic rape revenge movie that came out earlier this year, that is directed by Mary Beth McAndrews and written by Jamie Alvey. And it's just sort of like, you know, a rape revenge movie against like the most obnoxious frat boys you've ever seen. Yeah. And it just like balances this thing between not shying away from how horrific the content is, but it's still like weirdly fun. And I think that one's on Tubi. So like I highly recommend everyone checking that one out. And then the other one that I really loved from Dread Pictures was For Sale by Exorcist. Which I loved that movie, directed by Melissa LaMartina and written by Chris LaMartina of WNUF. And it's just like the most charming, like comedy horror movie I've seen in a minute. For anyone who doesn't know, just about a woman who, like buys houses that are haunted and like exorcises the ghosts and flips them. And it's like a mockumentary. I don't know. It's just, it's so like stupidly charming. And I was like going through, cause I keep like a running list of like my favorite movies that I've seen like through the year on Letterboxd. And both of those like don't even have like 1,000 logs on Letterboxd. I don't even know if For Sale by Exorcist is at like 200. And it's just like, I just feel like those are both criminally underseen. So I just wanted to give a shout out to those.
Chris and Melissa are also just like the nicest people. They're always incredible. Really glad that you brought up Ugly Stepsister. That was a super surprise for me. I thought it was going to be maybe decent based on the trailer, but man, that movie blew me away. I think pulling up my list right now, I think that's at my number 3 of the year so far.
I think it is for me too, actually.
I mean,
loved it.
Good year, but number 3 for a movie like that is pretty great.
Yeah, no, I thought that was so, I don't know, like that was just like the exact kind of movie I wanted it to be. I love that one.
I spent about an hour last night on another stream talking about Clocker, so I watched that for the first time this week. I won't say too much here, but I'll just say Spike Lee's incredible. A couple new ones in the theater that I watched this week that everybody should probably check out, if I recommend it, maybe. The first one, everybody's talking about 28 Years Later. Saw it. It is quite messy in the writing. It is a little tonally jarring in about 84 different places. But for some reason, that comes across as charming instead of annoying. And yes, the last like 90 seconds of this movie are going to pull a lot of people out and make them rate it like a full star less on Letterboxd. But it's still very fun and very worth it. And the entire franchise is still quite good. My kids wanted to drag me to the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. I'll say it's great because How to Train Your Dragon is an incredible animated movie. Mm-hmm. It only lost points because it's not the animated version, which is just better. Right. It is a quite quite good animated or live action remake. But none of us needed that. It's the exact same. Like, there were shots in that movie where I went, I think his hair is even doing the same thing that it did in the animated movie, which is insane that we're on that level. I don't know how to feel about that. And I don't even think I've seen any of the Disney live action remakes. So I'm not used to that. Yeah. It's just not my thing, but
sure. I mean, I would say it's not my thing either, but somehow I've still seen like 6 of them.
And then the last thing, probably the biggest flop that has ever flopped. Pixar's Elio dropped this week. Speaking of animated movies,
yeah.
Did you watch Elio?
I have not seen it, but I was aware. So like I didn't know that it was coming out, and then I saw Richard Whitaker from the Austin Chronicle tweet out, or a Blue Sky post, like it's a little concerning that like there's a new Pixar movie coming out in 2 weeks and nobody seems to know. Yep.
Supposedly, the trailer was played for about 17 people across the U.S. over the last couple of weeks.
Right.
It is already poised to be the least grossing Pixar debut in like 21 years or something like that. Or actually, I think it's since the original Toy Story. Like the first Toy Story is the only one that was less than this one, which is crazy. That being said, Elio is freaking great. It is. I guess the only thing that I'm really gonna kind of hold it against it is Pixar used to be on the forefront of animation. Every new film that came out, it was like, wow, we've never seen anybody do anything like this. The last, I don't know, 3 or 4 Pixar movies, they're like the exact same animation style. Nothing is different. Everything, it's got the same texture. It's got the same level of depth. But they sort of killed it with the story. It is a really beautiful science fiction story that hammers home the idea of loneliness and really, really leaves you with this beautiful philosophical moment that I don't really want to spoil. But one of my personal heroes is literally his voice played at the end of the film, which I never would have expected that Pixar would have done this. And it really like leaves you if you recognize the voice and know what is happening, you leave the theater like beaming with just wow, they did something and took a risk and it paid off in spades.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw your little your tidbit about it on Letterboxd, and I actually was like, oh shit, I need to check it out.
I realized after the fact I probably should have marked that as spoilers, but it doesn't spoil the film story. But yeah, the feeling was pretty magical at that point. All right. Other than announcements, anything else that you're working on that you can share? Or anything that you want to point people to?
I guess I could just say that like of my 2 movies, Attack of the Demons is on Screambox. If anyone wants to check that out, and also obviously released through OCN and Darkstar on Vinegar Syndrome's website. And then also When You Get to the Forest is also out on Vinegar Syndrome's site through Cartoona. But that one unfortunately is not streaming anywhere quite yet. We're still figuring that out. Not the easiest sell. But for now, if it's something that someone wants to see, they can pick it up on Vinegar Syndrome's website. But other than that, I'm constantly working on stuff. Eric and I are in a constant state of trying to like get something into production. And so right now we're kind of pushing hard on this fantasy drama that Eric came up with a story for, and we've been developing the story over the summer, over the spring. And he's got some test art for it on his social pages on like Blue Sky and Instagram, so people can check that out. Just get kind of a taste of what he's cooking up. But other than that, I've got a couple things sort of maybe happening in the live action sphere, but it's, with the industry being what it is right now and just a sort of very strange time for film production, it's not as clear cut. So, very well, nothing may come of it, but I will say that I'm always writing. I'm always trying to get something out there made, and I'm sure eventually another movie will come out.
Speaking of that, before I click on the announcements, just to show that I'm kind of always watching and paying attention, your Blue Sky, earlier this year, you posted that you were going to be trying to force yourself to write every single day. Mm-hmm. And you have been an inspiration. Like the amount of
great.
transparency with it that is, I don't know, there's some days where it's just hard, and it seems like you still are able to force yourself to do it as much as you can. For anybody that's trying to do something creative, how do you get to that point?
I mean, I know that the process is different for everyone. Like I know people who very much are, you know, they look at the creative process, whether it's music or movies or writing or painting or drawing, to be, you know, it's just something that they do when they're inspired, and which I think is great. But for me, it's writing. I just felt like I needed it to be more of a muscle I needed to work out, where I have always felt like the more I write, the better I get. And if I force myself to write, I will get that bullshit out of my fingers and just like, I'll get the crap on the page and then figure it out later, but I will be better for it on the other side. And so, you know, 2014, 2024 had a lot going on in my life where it prevented me from writing, and it really bummed me out. Like I got to the end of the year and I was like, I only wrote like 2 screenplays this year. Like that sucks. Like I want to do something.
I wish.
And so this year, so for 2025, I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to try to write 5 pages a day. Just that's what I'm going to try to do. And I've kept up with it. And it's been like, it's gotten to the point where I'm so deep into it at this point that if I don't do it, I'm going to feel so ashamed that, you know, if I miss writing for one day. And so, you know, typically I try to get the pages done, you know, at a reasonable hour, but there have been times where like you know, it's like 12:30 at night. I have to be up for work in, you know, 4 or 5 hours. And I'm like, I got to get those pages in though. Like that's, you know, and I just get it out there. And so at this point, you know, I've written, you know, I'm coming up on 1,000 pages for the year. Wow. And so I've written, I think like 12 scripts. And like, I don't know if they're any good. But it is, I mean, it's also kind of nice because like I have this huge backlog of ideas that like I always kind of like, I have this master movie list idea, and it's very, you know, it varies from like more detailed stuff to stuff that's just like a one-off idea. Like I remember once going down that list and there was just a note that just said like haunted taxi. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck that was supposed to be. But the thing is, like, I've been able to like just choose like a chunk of those, and I'm just like, all right, these are the ones I'm writing. And I've gotten through all these scripts that I've like envisioned in my head for years, and now they're just kind of in the rearview mirror. At least the first draft is. And so, you know, for me, if it's again, everyone's writing, you know, everyone's, you know, what they do to like get writing and stuff is going to be different. But for me, I just have always found that just doing it helps. Like it just doing the writing the dog shit, and then figuring it out later and molding it into something better after is better than just waiting for that perfect moment of, you know, writing the perfect page. Like I'll write 5 pages of dog shit and then figure it out later.
Well, speaking of dog shit, on that note, you're free to take this, but everybody always groans on my pun. So I have to say, clearly you've already written the title as Boober, right?
I did not. But that's good.
I'll take your credit. That's enough for me.
You got a co-writing credit.
All right. I guess that won't really work great in writing because it'll just look dirty and everybody's
right.
Like,
yeah, that's that's the sex comedy. Yeah.
Check that on Melusine in 3 years.
Right.
All right. I'm so glad that your writing has been never ending this year. Let's talk about the never ending story.
Hell yeah.
This is the first release of the week that we're going to be talking about. Imprint had kind of infamously said that when they first announced the Never-Ending Story 4K giant 14-pound storybook edition that they weren't going to make a standard, and technically they haven't. They are now releasing a 4K steelbook edition that is coming out on August 27th, and this is going to have 3 different discs. You've got a 4K disc that has the theatrical cut on 4K, and then it's got 2 Blu-ray discs that's got the theatrical cut on Blu-ray, and then the German extended cut on Blu-ray, but you don't get that one on 4K. Everybody's major complaint is that this thing shipped is like $104 US or something, and that's for like a pared down version of a release. Holy shit, that's expensive.
I know. This is, I struggle with stuff like this because I want this so bad.
Yeah, this movie is beautiful on 4K. I will say that it is quite good. I'll also say the giant book release is very nice too.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing that and just being like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's expensive, but if you love the movie, I totally get it. Imprint kind of always expensive, sadly, so we're used to it.
Yeah.
Second Sight over in the UK had a couple announcements on Friday. We've got August 25th. We're getting a 4K of Ty West's The Innkeepers. This is coming hot on the heels of some other Ty West stuff getting attention lately, and this is going to be a 4K with Dolby Vision. We got a brand new restoration approved by Ty West. We've got tons of extras here. We got multiple audio commentaries. We've got brand new interviews with Ty West, with Pat Healy, Larry Fessenden, the DP Elliott Rocket, and then of course, because it's Second Sight, it's going to have a giant book with a bunch of new essays and a hard box and all that stuff. How do you feel about Second Sight, sir?
I love Second Sight so much so that I am so annoyed at how often they put out stuff I want. Like Second Sight is like, I have like a basket and I have like 14 movies in it on Second Sight. And I always feel like, all right, this is the month where I finally just buy that. And then they do this thing where they release another movie. And it's just like, okay, well, okay, I'm adding that. And then I got to wait to buy that, and then they add another movie, and it's just I one of these days I just need to bite the bullet. But like the stuff I have gotten from them, I mean, their release of The Witch is just immaculate. Their guest release is incredible. Like I love Second Sight.
Yeah, they're great. And if you love Second Sight, but you want to spend a little less money, but you really want The Innkeepers, hang out, because we're going to be talking about another release of The Innkeepers here in just a little bit, which is fairly comparable to this. So we'll chat more about Ty West in a bit. But the next one, they are putting out the Pusher trilogy on 4K and Blu-ray on August 25th as well. This is a trilogy of films from the one and only Nicholas Winding Refn. The cool thing here is this will have Dolby Atmos. It's got new audio commentaries. It's got a bunch of extras, but then it's got the Gamber feature-length documentary. It's also got the Danish director Paul Nierup's 1960s trilogy of youth films in a brand new 4K restoration from all three, which is crazy. There is a lot coming in this release. Again, 120-page booklet with a bunch of names that you recognize, including Justin LaLiberty from Cinematograph and Vinegar Syndrome. Just tons of stuff. You into reffing at all?
Oh yeah, I have to. I'm Danish, so that's like required.
It's built in. Yeah. It's in the blood.
No, I'm a huge. I don't love everything he makes, but I'm happy everything he makes exists. But also, I mean, like I'm a basic person. I love Drive. I think Drive's great.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a very good movie at the very least. Yes. All right, so that is Second Sight for this month. Everybody, of course, still waiting on the release of Possession, but we'll have to wait at least a little bit longer. Next up is the one and only Deaf Crocodile, who's in the chat talking about the imprint prices. Yes, very expensive, Greg. So now we've got pre-orders up for two brand new releases from Deaf Crocodile. We talked about these a few weeks ago, so I'll just get your feelings on Deaf Crocodile after this. First one is The Devil's Bride from 1974. This is a beautiful movie from just some of the most scenic landscapes I've ever seen in a film. That is a musical that I think a lot of you that follow this page will love. This is a Lithuanian film, and we were lucky enough to be able to do a visual essay on it, and it's incredible. Got a bunch of other extras on here. We got an audio commentary from Michael Brook. We've got new interviews with people that were associated with the film, including the I believe it's the daughter of the director. Is that right? And then, of course, new essays by Alexander Heller Nicholas and Walt Chaw in the booklet. Are you into Deaf Crocodile at all, especially as an animation fan?
Of course I am. I actually, it's funny. I mean, like, as much, I think the animation that they release is incredible. And the attention that they're giving to like the just stuff that I had never heard of. But I do think that like that Ilya Muromets release is one of my favorite releases that's come out in the past like 10 years.
Wow.
That is just such a gorgeous release. That was one where I just like was so unfamiliar with that movie and the filmmakers, and like the fact that they opened kind of that entire world of those those like Russian, big sweeping fantasy movies. It's just, I don't know. Love Death Crocodile.
Amazing. One more release from theirs, which is one of my favorite releases in their entire catalog. They are putting out a deluxe edition release of The Pied Piper. This is the 1986 film by Jerry Barta that was released previously while they were with OCN. And now, to make it worth it, they are putting out a second disc that is going to include the rest of Barta's shorts, which are beautifully animated in stop motion, and they are they're kind of like small masterpieces in every single one. And then on top of that, of course, this has a brand new 60-page illustrated book. It's got the essay that was in the original release, so you're not missing out on that. And it's also got new stuff by Jonathan Owen and Walt Shaw. Have you seen The Pied Piper?
I haven't, but I've been dying to.
I feel like this would be right up your alley.
Yeah, I'm going to pick this one up, this edition. It's actually, I hated that I missed it when it first came out, so I'm very excited to pick this one up.
Yeah, and everybody's talking about the art. The art on this box is incredible. Brian Level is the one that did the hard box on this, and if you want to hear more from Brian Level, he happened to be in the episode of the Deaf Crocodile podcast that premiered last Friday. Go give that a listen. All right, going on from there, we got some releases from Severin, which I had heard that this was coming a few months ago, and I feel like there's some really great stuff here. So this is coming in early August if you order it straight from the Severin site, and then it will be coming on September 30th if you order it from a wide release partner like Amazon or somebody like Diabolic. But this is Danza Macabra Volume 4, and the films in this are pretty great looking. We got Terror and Creatures from the Grave. They have also, we'll talk about the details in a second. We've got Night of the Damned in there. On top of that, we've also got The Devil's Wedding Night and Baba Yaga. And the big thing here is we are getting a 4K box set and a Blu-ray box set. And they are able to do that by making different color art on the box, which is kind of a clever way to tell those apart. I'm glad they're doing that. I really wanted to talk about the pricing real quick, because we just talked about imprint, which massively expensive for a really popular movie. I'm not taking that away. But the Blu-ray box set for Danza Macabra is $79 in the US, and that is, it's still a huge set. It is 7 discs. Then you go to the 4K set, it's $125. So it's more expensive because 4K is expensive to make. But it's 11 discs because you get the 4K discs and the Blu-ray discs, and there's a CD. This is, in my opinion, just the very clear like antithesis of that imprint pricing. Like, I love what imprint does, but this, to get all these brand new special features, to get great films, 4K and Blu-ray, and you're getting $125 in a hard box, that's pretty good pricing on that.
Yeah, Severin always kills it with those big sets. Like, that Al Adamson set is like one of my favorite things I own. And I always feel like there's such a good value. Like, I remember, I just feel like every time they announce one of these big sets, I just like cannot believe how good everything in it looks, and the value that you're getting out of getting it is always feels like way worth it. So I always love Severin for that.
Yep. They do incredible work to be able to capture, entire filmmakers' history in a box sometimes, or like the folk horror sets, which are just mind blowing and what they're able to compile. Severin doing some great stuff, especially if you like this type of film. I mean, this is a really great box set, in my opinion. And then they're also putting out a Pixel Elixir Hall of Fame pin that they do for Rosalba Neri, which I had most of these up until a point where I said, I have no more room. But this is, I love that they're still putting these out. This is great. All right. After that, August 26th, Kino Lorber putting out The Two Jakes on 4K and Blu-ray. This is the sequel to Chinatown, which was included in the Paramount Presents 4K of Chinatown, but only on Blu-ray. So if you really love Jack Nicholson and you want to see it on 4K, this is the only way to do it. This is getting a new audio commentary by Max Allen Collins that is moderated with Heath Holland, who's over at Serial at Midnight, who everyone says you look like. So congratulations.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll take it. That's a compliment.
Jack Nicholson. How do you feel about Jack or the Two Jakes? Have you seen the Two Jakes?
I have not seen Two Jakes, but I will say that this is one of those 4K announcements that burned me, because when that Paramount Chinatown came out, like this is where I panic buy stuff. And like I heard, because that Chinatown release that has this in it in a Blu-ray was when out of, is out of print. And like they announced that like they were having like they found a couple copies, they threw them up on Amazon, and like I was in no position where I was like, I didn't need to buy a 4K at that moment, but I was like, well, I have to get the one with Two Jakes, because if I don't get this, I'm never going to have Two Jakes on Blu-ray. Like that's just never going to happen. And then I should have known that Kino would put it out on 4K. Like I should have considered that. So joke's on me.
Sib says that's why my fingers and toes are crossed for bringing out The Dead from Criterion. Yeah, I would think that would make sense, actually. Now that it's out of print from Paramount Presents, it'd be nice to see that come over to Criterion. Dell's here. I was on Dell's channel last night, so give that a watch. Yeah, let's keep going here. Next up is Undisputed, coming on 4K on August 26th from Kino. This is the Wesley Snipes and Ving Rhames film. This has new audio commentary by Mark. I read the second name. Hello. Matt Rutledge and Mike Leader. I totally mixed those two names together. Mike Leader's been on the channel before. Good guy. Have you seen Undisputed?
I am unfamiliar with this movie, which is surprising because I love Wesley Snipes and Ving Rhames quite a lot. So,
but it's 2002, so that could be why. It was after the Ving Rhames renaissance and the Wesley Snipes downfall. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure if I've seen Undisputed either. It's been a long time since this came out.
But that being said, whenever Kino puts something out on 4K, I do tend to look into it a little more. And I've bought in some blind 4Ks from Kino that I have not been disappointed with. So
it's real easy when they're $18 on sale, like we're going to talk about tonight. All right, so next up is Hammer over in the UK, releasing on August 11th, Blood Orange from 1953. This is a 4K, one of their slimline boxes. They're doing like these deluxe sets, and then these about half that size, still deluxe compared to most releases sets, and they are putting out a lot of classic films. Blood Orange is not what most people would probably call a classic Hammer film. This is one that a lot of people did not know much about, but the big thing is it's directed by Terrence Fisher, and for a lot of people, that alone is blind buy worthy. This is going to be coming in a 2-disc set. You got a rigid box as usual. You got a 4K disc, Blu-ray disc, and then of course it's got the booklet with it. You've got new commentaries, a bunch of new extras. They treat these releases very well. You like any Hammer films?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not a sort of studio or like realm of film that I ever had a like deep dive appreciation with, but like whenever I catch one, I like it. I mean, I will absolutely, this sounds like right up my alley. So
yeah, it looks pretty decent. And I mean, again, Terrence Fisher, I'll watch it. I just don't know if it's buy a huge 4K box set, watch it. This is probably the release that pissed off the most people on my page this week. August 18th, over in the UK, Warner Brothers is releasing The Mask from 1994 with Jim Carrey in a Blu-ray steelbook. Yes, a Blu-ray steelbook. This is the same Blu-ray disc that they've been putting out for the last, 15 years. And they're just saying, hey, let's put it in a gaudy purple and green steelbook and say, all righty then. How do you feel about The Mask?
I love it. I mean, it came out when I was like 5 years old, so of course, I grew up with it and thought it was great. But I am cracking up over the fact that this is a steelbook for a 15-year-old disc.
Yeah, pretty much everybody that saw this went, I'm going to wait on a 4K, and right. I would say that is a wise decision. I believe there's a rumor that it is coming literally either late this year or early next year. It will be happening, and because it's Warner, they will. If you really want a steelbook, there will be another one. It might even be this exact same design. So good luck. This is a wild decision. Speaking of the UK, Dazzler Media, which has been stepping up their 4K output, they're putting out Girl from the North Country from this year on a 4K and Blu-ray release. This one I had not heard about, but it sounds freaking great. This says, set in 1934, Duluth, Minnesota during the Great Depression, Girl from the North Country centers on Nick Lane, who struggles to keep his guest house afloat amidst financial ruin. His wife, Elizabeth, battles dementia while their adopted daughter, Marianne, harbors a secret pregnancy. The guest house becomes a refuge for a diverse group of drifters, each grappling with their own hardships as their lives intertwine. Themes of love, loss, and hope emerge, all underscored by reimagined renditions of Bob Dylan songs, including Forever Young, All Along the Watchtower, Hurricane, and Like a Rolling Stone. This is a Broadway musical adaptation that has been made into a film that I gotta be honest, I kind of want to see this. You got some Connor McPherson in this, or written and directed by Connor McPherson, and supposedly great.
I've never heard of this.
Connor says, saw Girl from the North Country on Broadway, Duluth, Minnesota represent. Nice. Connor, are you from Minnesota originally? I did not know that. Yeah, this sounds really good. I got to be honest, reading that synopsis, I wouldn't think, yeah, that should be on a Broadway play that we're hiding pregnancies and yeah.
That sounds cool though. I'm interested. I'm actually unfamiliar with that label. So
yeah, they've done quite a few more 4Ks. They've really started to step up. They're not like the best quality, but they're better than the Blu-rays that are coming out in the US usually. So speaking of Blu-rays in the US, Air 4444 has said that they are not shipping theirs yet. We got a couple delays here. PMOC, Alone, and Mermaid Legend have been delayed. They're waiting for their restock of standard editions of Red to Kill and Run and Kill as well. They are doing everything they can to expedite those manufacturing, and they think that they will be able to get them shipping in July. But that's sort of the story with a bunch of these labels over the last few months. So,
yeah, and I know Error 4444 is like a really small team. I've actually had some correspondence with them when I had a defective disc. Like they were great in terms of getting back to me and everything, but I recognize that like I've been following them since like their first release, like and so they're, you know, I always want to give them like maybe a little more patience than I would at one of the bigger places. So but I don't know, I love all their releases, so
they're putting out films that nobody else is. So you got to give that to them for sure. I missed this comment when it was made. So Dell was talking about The Mask. He says it could be worse, like Walmart put out the same DVD several times a year with different slipcovers. I didn't post them as announcements, but I wanted to share that Walmart is repackaging 2 releases from Scream Factory. They're putting out the often overlooked little indie gem by one, I think his name is John Carpenter, called Halloween. They're putting out a 2-disc 4K set, so they're dropping a 3rd disc and putting it in this orange like slip art, I think, and then they're repackaging the old Vincent Price Collection Volume 1 into the same style of art. Just those 2 releases.
Weird.
Not sure why necessarily.
That Vincent Price Collection gets reprinted like every 4 months, I feel like.
Yeah, except for I think Volume 2, which went out after like 17 hours of release, and that was it. I got a question in the chat. Corinne wants to know any new Mondo Macabro news. I can't say anything else definitive yet, but I can say I have a podcast recording with Mondo Macabro for next week where we will get some more news guaranteed. This one kind of surprised me. July 15th, we are getting a Blu-ray release of Manifest, the complete series from Warner Brothers. Now, I'd never seen the show, but I'd heard it's actually kind of decent. And I got to be honest, seeing an airplane under the ocean water here is sort of intriguing. But yeah, this was on from 2018 to 2023. And the big thing is this was, I think, Netflix rescued it for its final season, and it was like a CBS show for the first 4 years, something like that, or 3 years. But now, more TV on Blu-ray is always a good thing, and to get something that was on Netflix on Blu-ray, that's getting to be more and more of a rarity these days. Yeah.
I'm unfamiliar with this show, but like you said, I'm always very supportive of anything that is like technically streaming only, finding a home on physical.
Well, my buddy Brian, who is an audio engineer in New York, says, nope, it's terrible. I mixed some of it. So maybe I won't watch it.
Okay. So you know what? If the price is low enough, I'm sure I'll check it out.
Well, it's 5 seasons of a TV on Blu-ray, so probably won't be as cheap enough for either one of us to say yes. Barnes & Noble hosting a Radiance sale right now, which is pretty great. 50% off all of the Radiance titles. It is running until August 3rd. Quite a long sale. It works online, and many Barnes & Noble are stocking these in-store at the moment. But the cool thing for those of you that don't have Barnes & Noble, or if they've sold out, because I believe on a couple titles they have, Amazon's pretty much price matching everything, and they're everything's on sale, even that's current. So the brand new Todd Salon's release of Palindromes on 4K, it's only $25, baby.
Yep.
It's the perfect time to buy it.
Yeah, I know, because I had loaded up my Barnes & Noble basket, and by the time I went back to actually check it out, Messiah of Evil had sold out. So
damn,
I know.
Well, speaking of Barnes & Noble, it's that time. Supposedly, the Criterion sale is launching tonight. We don't have exact Barnes & Noble confirmation on that, but all rumors are pointing to that happening tonight at midnight, so be prepared to spend that money anyways.
There's too much. There's just too many sales.
I've got another sale to talk about here. Limelight over in the UK, which is sort of like a Diabolic DVD. They're not a label putting out titles, but they're just a distributor or a retailer, essentially. They've got 900 plus titles. Well, in fact, when I clicked on it, I think it was just over 1,000, which I thought it was weird that they said over 900 and then the sale had over 1,000. Why don't you say over 1,000? That's easier. They've got all kinds of stuff on sale from lots of big companies that you'd probably love, like BFI, Eureka, Indicator, 101 Films, Fabulous Films, Anti-Worlds, the sister company of Indicator, Third Window Films, and a whole bunch of studio stuff too. If you are in the UK, you get free shipping over £50, and if you're anywhere else in the rest of the world, you have to jump that up to £200 to get free shipping, and that's a lot of money. But they've got some pretty damn good prices over there. Just a warning. Yeah. Anybody else check out the Limelight sale? I want to hear what anybody got from this thing.
I wasn't aware that this was happening, and now I'm like panicking because one, there's already enough sales happening right now, but there's like it's UK stuff also, just sort of it all being there in one place. That's very, very enticing.
Yeah, and we're talking like I think there were Third Window titles that were like £10. There is Indicator stuff that was under £10. There was Eureka stuff that I wanted that was like £12.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good sale. I'm sorry. And of course I clicked the wrong thing. 1 second here. That was the last thing. Next, that is a terrible picture of me. I was on an episode of the Split Your Head podcast that came out this week. Go check that out. Supposedly I got more personal there than I do in many other places. I've had a bunch of people message me that they listen to this. So if you're into it, go give it a listen. Man, Umbrella is like many people's favorite label right now. It seems to be a race between Umbrella and Second Sight. So you love Umbrella? I
love Umbrella.
What is a couple favorite releases they put out?
I mean, like, off the top of my head, I mean, their Super Mario Brothers UHD, incredible. Their Razorback UHD is incredible. And then also their King Kong Lives. Like, I'm just so stoked that they released that on Blu-ray. Like that I'm so happy that exists. And I've actually been really, really excited to dive into their French Extremity box sets. I know there's a new one that was announced recently, and I love Umbrella. They're the best.
Mozart's Ghost says the Wake and Fright 4K is gorgeous, and all I can express right now is jealousy that mine is not here yet. God, I am dying to watch that movie in 4K, even though this is like the worst time in the world to watch Wake and Fright because it's so goddamn hot across the U.S. Yeah. All right, so Umbrella this time. Lots of really great stuff. We've got the film Angst from 1983 coming on 4K out of Australia. This is going to have, of course, a regular standard edition if you want the 4K, but the deluxe is going to have a 48-page book with behind-the-scenes material, archival interviews, and new essays by Jack Sargent and David Michael Brown, custom rigid slipcase, let's see, reversible poster, New audio commentaries times 2, one of them by the director, one of them by Kat Ellinger and Martin Conterio, a post-screening Q&A with the director and the lead actor who plays the serial killer here. We've got a new interview with the actor himself. We've got Through the Eyes of a Killer, an interview with the cinematographer, just all kinds of stuff coming on this, including a locations featurette, which is kind of rad.
Hell yeah.
How do you feel? Have you seen Angst?
Yes, I really, really love this movie. I became aware of it when I first saw Irreversible, because apparently Gaspar Noé has said that it was like one of the main inspirations for that movie. And so I hunted it down, got a copy, and it is dark and grimy. It's great. The second I saw this come up, I was just like, that's a perfect 4K release. Like, that is a movie I want to see on 4K so bad.
Yeah, to say I am going to sit down and watch a movie that inspired Irreversible does not feel great.
Yeah.
However, Angst is incredible. This movie is stupendous. It is gory. It is frenetic. It is beautifully shot in a weird way, because it's primarily a single location sort of serial killer thriller. But good Lord, our lead actor here, Erwin, what's his last name? Is it Leader? I don't want to. Erwin Leader or Erwin Later. He is stupendous in this movie. He is just the perfect kind of deranged. The rumor is that Cult Epics in the U.S. is likely going to be upgrading this to 4K eventually, because they did the blue.
Yep.
But for those of you that love Umbrella, this is the exact way that you're going to want to ingest this movie, because it's incredible. And I can pretty much guarantee Cult Epics will not get as many extras that are going to be on this list. So. Angst. I'm so glad you've seen it, because so many people are like, Angst, this looks pretty. What is it? I have to go, you want to be really upset?
I mean, it
is. All right. Next one is one that I have not seen. This is The Resurrection of the Golden Wolf, also known as The Golden Wolf Revives, from 1979. Have not seen this before. This is Yusaka Matsuda starring in this one. It's got a 48-page booklet with behind-the-scenes material and new essays. It's got the reversible poster, all the stuff that Umbrella usually does. On this, we've got a new interview with the director Toru Murakawa, and then some new corporate fantasy and masculine identity in The Resurrection of the Golden Wolf that Robert Edwards is speaking on. Not a ton on this disc, but for those that want it, I believe this is going to be the best release of this film yet, for sure. Have you seen this one or even heard of it?
Never heard of this one when it came up, but instantly intrigued by it.
Yeah, really great looking art too. Very, very compelling. The story sounds good. I love Asian movies, just plain and simple. I mean, going through this week, the New York Times Best of the 21st Century that everybody's posting, I had to literally fight myself to not have 10 different Asian films, and that's it on my list.
She's done it. Just go for it.
It was pretty close. Yeah, I definitely wanted to. Next up is The Reef. I think I've seen this one, but this is from 2010, Shark Attack movie, coming on Blu-ray on October 8th. This is a clearly pretty Australian film. I'm glad they're putting it out. We got a 48-page booklet with new essay by Anthony O'Connor, behind-the-scenes material, interviews, all that stuff. New audio commentary with the director, moderated by David Michael Brown. Some new interviews. Have you seen The Reef, sir?
I haven't, but it's another movie, another like early 2000s shark movie that I am so happy is getting like a loving release. I'm here for it, and I'm here to discover all the ones that I missed.
I don't love every shark movie, but I pretty much want to see every single shark movie, because they will at least be interesting, just borderline, and then at worst, yeah, they're pretty bad. But some of them are incredible, and I walk away feeling very happy I got to see that.
Yeah, I feel like you're gonna have a good time no matter what.
Yeah, it's a shark movie. Come on. Let's see. Sam saying I love Angst. Kubrick Lover also loves Asian movies. I'm so glad I'm in good company there. Shark romantic Ryan. That's what I do. You know what? Give me an Asian Shark Attack movie, I guess, and that's perfect for me.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Next is the anthology film that I still can't believe this is coming out through Umbrella. The ABCs of Death from 2012, which is directed by seemingly everybody under the sun at the time, including Ty West, like I was talking about. This is getting a really nice looking Umbrella release that will be very like children's book coded, like they've done on their Winnie the Pooh releases so far. This is going to have a 48-page booklet with some new essays, and then we got some new extras, including a commentary by Graham Duff and Stephen Thrower, which Stephen Thrower, I feel like doesn't do as many commentaries anymore. He kind of does like a 30-minute interview, and this is kind of a very interesting movie for him to do a commentary on.
Yeah.
So stoked on that. We got new interviews with some people that directed or produced and some other stuff, but a lot of behind the scenes on many of the segments of this. I remember watching this when it came out and loving, I don't know, 10 of the 26 segments, something like that. And for an anthology that is about 26 short films, that's not that bad. That's a pretty decent hit rate.
I feel like you're walking away with a longer runtime of good stuff than you would for most anthologies. Like halfway okay. Like I don't know. They're I think you're right. It's about. I feel like it's almost like half and half, but there are some gems in ABCs of Death. Like I love. I can't remember who made D for Dogfight. That's probably my favorite one. And then I love Jason Eisner's Young Buck in there too. Like I don't know. Those are so good, and there's so many good ones in here. This was a really cool release.
Yeah. For those that have never seen this or heard of this, I guess the shtick to it is that it's 26 different shorts, all done with a certain letter to be the ABCs of Death. There's stuff like A is for Apocalypse, B is for Bigfoot, F is for Fart, R is for
That one's great.
Fart is great.
It's from the guy who did. It's from the guy who did the Machine Girl. It's so good.
It is messy, to say the least. Dell's saying he only liked 4 or 5 of the 26. Dang. There is a new Love, Death, and the Robots season. That's right. Colton says, I checked out F is for Fart when watching it and said, that's a lot for me. Honestly, Colton, I get it. I totally get it. Next up, you mentioned the French Extremity box, and they are putting out a second set on October 8th of their new Extremity collection. This covers Doberman, In My Skin, which everybody and their mother is releasing right now.
Yeah.
29 Palms and Fat Girl. We get lots of new extras on this. Literally every single film is getting new extras. Extreme films. How do you feel about stuff like this?
Like when I was growing up, like when I was kind of discovering who I was as a filmmaker, like it was around like, the mid 2000s. So it was a big, like part of that Splat Pack boom. So like I was, a lot of the American stuff, but also kind of really enjoying that, but then also kind of going off and finding the kind of diving into French Extremity and discovering that and being like, oh shit, they're not fucking around. Like, and so like, I've always had like a very soft spot for French Extremity. So I've been like over the moon that Umbrella has been putting these out. I'm really, really excited for this one.
So one of the things I wanted to point out, because I don't think I highlighted it enough on the first release when they announced the Volume 1, I am excited that we get a company that is putting out a collection of films like this that, yes, at the heart, they're new French Extremity. So there's like a genre leaning where they're all tied together. But they didn't just lean into the title. Every single thing gets very similar and stylized key art. Everything is built to look the same. That is really cool, and we don't get a lot of opportunities to see something like that, and I'm glad they're doing it. It could have easily just been the original poster art on the cases on the inside, and it might even be on the flip side, but for those that like stylized releases like this, so great. I love that they're doing that.
Yeah, that art for 29 Palms alone, like I want to like frame that. Like it's so cool.
Well, you do get a poster.
Yeah.
This is a fun set. I know that there's been some rumblings of some of the French Extremity getting like some bigger releases from some other more popular labels, but if this tickles you in the right way, I mean, it matches the first volume perfectly too, so it's kind of a really great 1-2 punch. The hard part, like In My Skin, it is got 2 other 4K releases now from Radiance and from Severin, and Doberman just got a release a couple years ago, and 29 Palms just got a release a couple years ago. I don't think Fat Girl's got a big boutique release recently.
I think that's Criterion, isn't it? Didn't they put that out?
Yes. Yes.
It was a while ago, but
Yes. So it's definitely not 4K, so I don't think you got to worry about that.
Yeah.
And I don't even think there was like a ton on the disc. So even then, this might be better than the Criterion disc. But I totally get waiting. I've heard that there's a couple that have never been released in the U.S. properly that might be getting U.S. releases soon. I have no confirmation on that, but it would be cool to see. All right. Next up. Oh, man, this is so cool. Lionsgate putting out this part sucks, an Amazon exclusive 4K release of But I'm a Cheerleader from 1999. This is coming on August 26th. A lot of people saw this picture and were confused because it looks like the classic Lionsgate plastic cover over a steelbook. From what I can tell, there's no steelbook. Nothing looks like a steelbook to me, and there's nothing in the listing that says steelbook. I believe this is just a slipcover over a case, basically. But I'm a Cheerleader. Have you seen this?
I have, long time ago. And it was like one of those things that I think I was like in my early teens when I saw it. I remember being like, this looks stupid. Like I'm 13. This doesn't look like what I want to watch. And then my brother was just like, no. It's like really good. You should watch it. And I watched it and loved it. And I actually did not realize that because I saw this announcement, I didn't realize it was a 4K. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is exciting. And the better thing is it sucks because it's kind of a double dip. Like people were surprised a couple years ago when I got a Blu-ray release, but it was a messy rollout of the release, to say the least, because half, literally, and this is where it gets really weird, half of their release of this came out as burned, just BDR Blu-rays, not even pressed. And then the other half came as pressed Blu-rays. So nobody was like, what's the rhyme or reason here that what they're doing? Nothing is proper. And so if you wanted to order it, it was sort of a gamble. Are you going to get the proper release? Or are you going to get some burned thing that may not last as long? And now all of those people are getting burned a little bit because we're properly getting a 4K release, which is great. But, a lot of people were like, yeah, we finally get it. And then got a terrible release for them just to fix it. So,
yeah.
Ronnie wants to know if it's the director's cut. I cannot find confirmation either way, unfortunately. I'm going to bet that it's the exact same that was on the Blu-ray, so I don't think that was the director's cut. But Ronnie, do you know? I don't remember there being much of a difference. Like it's only like two quick parts of a couple scenes, maybe. But I don't remember. It's been a long time since I saw the director's cut. This is an amazing movie. Everybody should see it. It's incredible. Very important movie. Harvey from 1950. This is a 4K release coming from Universal directly on August 19th. This is the James Stewart film about a wealthy drunk who starts having visions of a giant rabbit named Harvey. I've never seen this. This is rather great that this is getting a 4K release, though. Have you seen?
I've actually never seen Harvey, but it's like one of those movies that's been on my radar for a very long time. And now I feel like cool that I waited until it got a 4K to watch it.
Yeah. Craig, Harvey is available for pre-order. I saw it up on Amazon. I don't think it's been anywhere else yet. But yeah, you can pre-order there. And it's actually, I think it's pretty cheap. It's like $22 right now or something that. Stan says, never seen Harvey. The fuck? I've never even heard of Harvey until this got announced. I got to be honest.
See, I remember, this is very funny. Like, I remember when I saw Donnie Darko the first time, my very snobbish brother was just like, oh, well, it's just a ripoff of Harvey. and I don't think the movies are the same at all, but it's just that there's about imaginary talking rabbits. So
yeah, we all end up in that space at some point in our lives, I guess. August 26th. Craig was saying about Cheerleader. Cheerleader is an Amazon exclusive, and that is available to pre-order on Amazon. All right, next up, Lords of Discipline. This got announced previously, and we finally got some details. This is coming on August 26th from Kino on a 4K release and on a Blu-ray release. You can just pick up the Blu-ray if you want. This is going to be a brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master, which I believe when this was announced, it was only announced as an SDR Master, so a little bit of an upgrade there. New audio commentary by some of the men that always do these. We got Steve Mitchell and Nathaniel Thompson, and then we got Pat Conroy, the historian, Lynn Smith, who is dedicated to Pat Conroy. So I'm glad this is getting a good release. Never seen this one, and don't know anything about it.
Same. Like the poster, though. That's cool.
Yeah, it looks nice. The Innkeepers, we talked about it earlier. If you are not in the UK or you don't want to import, Dark Sky Selects is selling The Innkeepers over on their website. This is a 4K steelbook, and it's got the same bonus features that are coming on the second sight release, I believe. And I got to be honest, like I said, I don't always love steelbooks. This one's pretty nice. It's like minimalist art that really fits the film that is just really decent. Can't really complain about that.
Do you know if it's because I remember when Dark Sky released their Texas Chainsaw release, their HD or the UHD of that, I remember thinking like, oh, cool, I won't need to import the second sight. And then I found out second sight's restoration was completely different than that one. Do you happen to know if it's the same transfer?
I don't know offhand, but I'm willing to bet that they're the same. I think Dark Sky has given up trying to compete at that front, and they've just said, yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Would not surprise me at all. And a reminder, you can only get this on their website unless it sells really poorly, then they'll probably put it on Amazon. Kind of like they did with that giant Texas Chainsaw thing. Ty West, are you Ty West guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think I appreciate his vision for his movies. Like, even the movies that Ty West does that don't necessarily work for me, I still, again, am just like, well, I'm super glad that someone is making those. That being said, he does make some movies that really are just like home runs with me. And like, for me, like, I love Pearl and I love House of the Devil. Like, I adore both those movies. I was actually kind of bummed that House of the Devil wasn't getting a 4K from Second Sight, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But he's one of those filmmakers where I'm gonna pick this up. I'm gonna pick up Innkeepers on 4K. I just like his kind of ethos and where his point of view in making movies. Always appreciate that.
Yeah, I did a show a few months ago on Larry Fessenden, and Ty West is from the Larry Fessenden crowd. Fessenden is a producer on this and did a bunch of stuff with Ty. So I, for some reason, just all of like that group tend to hit for me. Like the way that they film, the stories they tell, something about it, it just feels right, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the Innkeepers. All right, we've not talked about Black Zero in a long time. Black Zero is a company in Canada that is ran by Stephen Broomer. He's done some extras for some other companies. He's, in fact, on some upcoming Deaf Crocodile releases. We'll be talking about him soon. These are primarily very experimental films. They're sort of all over the place, and when he puts these out, he is essentially somebody like Golden Ninja Video, who is doing it all from his house to make these really great releases out of Canada, just like Justin at Golden Ninja. And he puts everything he possibly can. So this first release, it's 3 releases, and there's going to be a lot of details here. The films and videos of Christine Lucy Latimer, all 3 of these are available now, by the way. These defy their containers. They reveal the fragile systems underlying media, press the boundaries of image-making machines, and embrace the faults and frailties of vision. Almost all of Latimer's work is silent, but nothing is truly silent. Latimer's images recall the hums, tweets, and mechanical moans of the technology with which she made them. Her work began long after most of the formats she employs had become obsolete. Refusing the universal nostalgia of the antique camera and the antique image, Latimer's works are an undeniably present-facing and playfully disobedient, ethereal, and abstract. Supremely self-conscious yet mystical, they are seances that draw out the ghost in the machine. These are all from 2002 to 2021, and there are 17 different projects from Latimer on this disc. Lots of stuff on here. The main feature here is 61 minutes. Some stuff is in black and white, some is in color. They've got all kinds of different aspect ratios. And then on top of all that, because just like Justin at Golden Ninja, he puts a lot in bonus features. So we've got digital masters approved by the artist Christine Lucy Latimer. We've got new interview with Christine. We've got 14 additional project-specific interviews throughout the disc on fragile systems here. Stephen Broomer also does a visual essay himself, and then there's some selected audio commentary. So essentially, if you're buying this disc, you're going to be able to live in it for hours and hours because there's so much here. I don't even know where to start. I mean, amazing looking release.
So sold. Totally unfamiliar with Latimer, but this just sounds like something so up my alley.
So that's basically how I feel reading every single one of his releases. Let's go to the second one. This one is Crisis, Collision, Resolve. These are projects from 1991 to 2017. And this says, through the course of the 1980s, Canadian artist-filmmaker Richard Kerr had gradually moved towards an accelerated cinema, an imagistic cinema of movement, montage, and aggressive sound design. Kerr's work in this accelerated cinema became increasingly total at the same time that he became invested in the model of the teacher-practitioner, collaborating directly with the students and working with simple, accessible tools. This gathers 13 of Kerr's films made between 91 and 2017, chronicling an important phase in his creative evolution. Crisis, Collision, Resolve serves as a portrait of an artist pushing the limits of the moving image while pitching a dynamic dialogue between pedagogy, collective action, and personal vision. Lots of stuff here. The main feature, 2.5 hours long. So again, you are getting tons of extras. Newly restored digital masters approved by the director. New interview with Richard Kerr. Visual essay on Kerr's demi-monde by Canadian filmmaker Stephen Broomer, who runs the label. And then some liner notes in this. Again, sounds very interesting. Nothing I'd ever heard of in my life.
Yep.
I feel the exact same as Ronnie. I wish I had the budget to take a chance on all these. Ben says you can find trailers for these on their YouTube, so go check that out. And then the final one from Black Zero is Slow Run, which is, it looks to me at least, to be the least experimental of these. Slow Run is a raw lyrical portrait of New York City as seen through the eyes of a young Canadian exile. The filmmaker Larry Kardish, at 23 years old, had made his first and only film as a candid love letter to the city, a litany of fascinations and complaints. Kardish blends dreamlike street photography, intimate portraiture, and rhapsodic monologue performed by the filmmaker's fictional surrogate, a young Canadian expat. The narration accounts the lives and relationships of a group of young bohemians and unfolds in parallel to the imagery rather than in dialogue with it, creating a tension between voice and vision, presence and distance. This is from, I think it's 1968, and extras on this. We've got a new digital restoration approved by Larry Kardish. There's a new interview with Larry Kardish. There is a visual essay by Stephen Broomer again, and then liner notes by David Spittle. It's an 80-minute feature in black and white, and to me, this sounds incredible.
Yeah. I'm really, I'm actually not going to lie. I'm pretty unfamiliar with that label. So I'm really excited to dive in and look more into these. I really want to check these out.
So Black Zero, for those like Andreas that had never heard of these, we are looking at a label, like I said, it's one guy literally making these in his living room. These are burn discs, high quality burn discs, so you don't have to worry about them dying in a couple weeks or anything. These are going to be delivered in cases. They're delivered usually with liner notes. They're professionally made as much as he can from his home. And pricing wise, for what you're getting, they're kind of astonishingly cheap considering he is putting these together himself. It's basically like boutique level delivery on the cheapest possible way to get them in your hands. The hard part is it's Canada, so shipping is going to be a little bit of a bitch. If you're going to do it, the best way to do it is either find a friend that is super into experimental cinema, which lucky enough for you, nobody else likes experimental cinema, so you're screwed. But if you get a couple that you're into and spread that love around, he's got a bunch of stuff that he had released previously that's still up on the site. Usually they're fairly limited, at least like the booklets and stuff. Mm-hmm. But you can buy the releases and he will get them to you nice and safe. Little hint, I'm planning on having him on the channel here.
Hell yeah.
Steven's going to come talk about these films and share why they are important to capture.
That's awesome. With them and Gold Ninja, I'll just throw out there, I love Gold Ninja, and always feel like Justin does the same thing a little bit, where it's the pricing is right. I really appreciate the pricing on his stuff, and it also ends up balancing out that shipping. So, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I love one man Canadian labels.
What a specific kink! I love it. If somebody has never paid attention to Golden Ninja, I've been re-listening to some stuff that incredible friend of the channel, Bill Ackerman, has done on his show supporting characters. Gold Ninja, Justin DeClue has this incredible interview that he did with Bill years ago. That's, 2.5 hours long, but you hear about the genesis of Gold Ninja and everything he's done. and something about Justin is just infectious, and I don't mean in a medical way. I mean, you are just excited about movies to hear him talk about this stuff, and to hear why they're cheap when he's able to put these out, to hear why he puts out as much as he can on the discs. It's, I don't know, there's something very inspiring about it.
One of my favorite things is because whenever I get a Gold Ninja release, the first thing I do is I check what the secret movie is. Yep. And I just love his intros too. Like it's like that thing you were saying where that dude just loves movies so much and gets so excited about just the most obscure, like Hong Kong movie that no one has ever heard of, that played on one TV channel once, like 40 years ago. Like I love it.
And somehow he saw it 34 years ago, and he's been chasing it down since then. And yes, it was his life's work, and here it is. Next up, as if we haven't talked about enough sales tonight, Vinegar Syndrome, of course, on the 1st of July is having one of their subscriber week specials, which means there's going to be deals. There's going to be your only other chance to subscribe for the second half of the year. And man, we got a lot to talk about here. They are calling it their Alien Invasion Summer Subscriber Week. This is coming to us at 12:01 p.m. Eastern on July 1st, which means not the midnight show. You don't got to stay up late. You get to come at noon the next day. And it'll be running all the way through July 7th at 11:59 p.m. We are, God, there's so much here. It's kind of crazy. So the unveiling of 3 new Vinegar Syndrome titles, including the UHD debut of a film by Dario Argento, another giant monster on UHD, the latest double of 60s roughies from Distrib-Pix and Something Weird will also be revealed. 22 different partner label releases. Good Lord. One of them from a brand new partner label. Amongst them, the recent VSP theatrical release of They Call Her Death, which has been getting pretty decent reviews. That one's going to be released not by VSP or Vinegar Syndrome, but by Yellow Veil, actually. And then, of course, an abundance of new merch and clothing. Every day at noon, there will be new sub-label releases, so they want you to come back to the site every single day next week, so be prepared for that. Melusine will also have a big budget epic from Quality X, a Peakorama Blu-ray of 2 Vinegar Syndrome classics, and then the Distrib-Pix and Something Weird Roughy double. You'll be able to get that on the Melusine site as well. So our schedule, this is where it gets crazy. So July 1st, 3 Vinegar Syndrome titles, 22 partner labels, new merch, catalog slipcovers, and then a bunch of stuff is going to be on sale. The next day, new stuff is going to go on sale, and we already get another VSU. Even though we just got one in May, we're already getting another one. The following day, July 3rd, we get a new Cinematograph and then a refresh of deals. July 4th, refresh of deals and then a new VSL. July 5th will be a VSA and a bunch of new daily deals. That VSA, by the way, I believe they have said that it's a trilogy. And there is a rumor online that it's a Trauma trilogy. I don't remember what the title was, but we were talking about it in the Discord today. And then July 6th is a brand new Degausser. They're going to be doing their Blu-ray release. And then, of course, the fancy LED VHS if you want it, plus new deals. And then the final day, a Cinematograph title and new daily deals. That's right, 2 Cinematograph titles next week.
Jesus
a VSU, a VSA, trilogy, a VSL, 3 Vinegar Syndrome titles, 22 partner label releases, merch, deals. Holy God, that is so much for 1 week.
We just finished Partners Only month. we're not even done with it yet. Like I feel like I just put in my order for the just like I bit on that Saturn's Core 10 disc set. Nice. So it just doesn't end. It never ends.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. There's a lot here. I see some speculating on titles and people being excited about some stuff. Yeah, there's a lot to cover here. So first off, Dario Argento 4K. Are you into Argento like the rest of us?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Any speculation what you think this might be then?
I don't know. I'm trying to think about what is missing from his 4K of stuff that people would actually want to see, because I feel like you know what? I feel like there is some later Argento stuff that I feel like gets a bad rap that I kind of still enjoy, but I just can't imagine they're going to do a 4K for Card Player or something like that. Like, as much as I enjoy that movie, but I don't know. So am I missing something? Am I like forgetting? Because I feel like Severin like basically covered everything else that every other label had done.
Severin did the off the wall stuff. Sam's watching live. Sam says, may have a cover in this batch. Interesting. Dying to see what that is. Yeah, so the Argento piece, there's a few things. My guess, and I know nothing, by the way, I know nothing about this batch of releases. I'm betting that this is just going to be a really boring Argento upgrade that people will be like, okay, we've had 9 releases of this. So I think it's going to be something like Sleepless, most likely, because that's been a little easier to license in the past, and it's an Argento 4K, so it'll sell well for them. That being said, there are some things that could be decent here. I've seen a bunch of people speculate that it could be Mother of Tears, which has never even gotten a Blu-ray release in the States.
Nope. I have that. That's a Dimension Extreme DVD.
Yep. So on that note, because it hasn't gotten a Blu-ray, and it specifically says a UHD debut, not a high definition debut, I have a feeling that it will not be that. And there's probably a problem with that in the US. It's probably got some rights issues that it will just not be able to come out. We got some people guessing Inferno. The issue here for John and for Sibner, I am hearing, and the big rumor for the last few years was that Disney owns the rights to Inferno, so it was never going to be able to happen in the US. I'd also heard from somebody else that they had looked into it and Disney doesn't own the rights, but I don't think it's going to be Inferno anytime soon, unfortunately.
How did Blue Underground release that then?
Because they released that Blue... God, what is the release date on that?
That's an old one. I remember picking that up forever ago.
Yeah, Inferno originally came out in 2011, so that's why. In 14 years, a lot happens. Like, they hadn't even owned Fox yet. The hard part with Argento, and this is where I don't mean to talk shit, but we're going to go there for just a second. He's made some real stinkers. Like, there's a few movies that this could be that people are just going to be like, oh God. And honestly, that includes Mother of Tears. Most people hate that movie that have seen it. He's made some really bad movies, but just attaching his name to it will get people excited and
a Dracula 3D UHD would sell out with a slipcover in 5 minutes.
It's true. I really could not argue with that. There was, I think I missed a clue for a cinematograph title. Oh, here it is. Including the 4K debut of a new Hollywood masterpiece. So that has people speculating some big things of what this could be. Cinematograph has played a little loosey-goosey, to say the least about this. So what's a new Hollywood masterpiece? It could be a handful of things. It could be a real masterpiece. It could be something from a director that everybody loves. I don't know. This could be many different things.
No idea. But I mean, everything they've announced through this, I mean, Cinematograph has been a home run. So...
Nice. There is a lot to go over. Next week is going to be busy. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be so tiring for me posting all these announcements. The show next week with Will is going to be hellacious because I'm also hearing, I think the way that I have this right, Shout Factory, they're announcing their stuff on Monday, and I believe that they have specifically stated that they have, and I can't believe I'm saying this about Shout Factory, but 25 releases, not films, releases coming out on Monday. And if that's the case, dear God, because we are likely getting at least 1 to 6 of these new Golden Princess titles that they're putting out of the Asian stuff getting announced. But that's only a little bit. If there's actually 25 releases, that's a lot of stuff to upgrade to 4K in 1 month.
Yeah, that's and especially so I have like PTSD from missing the Slumber Party Massacre 2-3 Blu-ray. Because Slumber Party Massacre 2 is like one of my favorite movies ever made, and I'm like so thankful that they re-released it with the first one on 4K, but not having the third one haunted me for like 6 years until I finally found a copy that wasn't like absurdly priced. But like, so if they release Slumber Party Massacre 3 on 4K, I will be very happy, but I will be very sad.
So I believe that is impossible from what I've heard behind the scenes.
Me too.
So thankfully that is probably not happening. Craig says maybe we should just pile on and announce everything we have lined up all the way into 2027 next week for us. Oh my gosh.
I would love it.
Mozart Ghost says next week will be a support group show.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's going to be a long week next week, so be prepared, everybody. So yeah, that's Vinegar Syndrome. We'll be here all next week. Next up from Kino, following up everything we just talked about with The Rock. August 26th, we're getting a 4K of The Rundown, the 2003 film with Sean William Scott, The Rundown. This movie is worth watching at least once for Christopher Walken.
Mm-hmm.
Not much else, but he is rather funny in this. This is going to have new audio commentary by Mike Leader and Matt Rutledge, and everything else on here is a archival extra. But The Rundown, how do you feel about this one?
You know, I was like a junior in high school when this came out, so I definitely have like a little bit of nostalgia for this like early 2000s garbage, but I'm not going to extol like that's some hidden masterpiece, but I do appreciate that Kino is giving it a little bit of attention.
Yeah, it's nice they were able to run down the rights. I'm sorry. I should have tried harder. 88 Films. They've got a bunch of titles they announced that they will likely be delaying here soon. That's a joke. They did not announce that. They did announce these titles. First one, September 29th, we got a 4K and Blu-ray release coming in the UK of Heart of Dragon, the Jackie Chan film from 1985. They had done this on Blu-ray, 2018, 2019, something like that. I don't know if that one's been available still, but it's nice to see this come out. It's got Sammo Hung in it. A lot of people love this one. This is going to have two versions of the movie. You got the Hong Kong cut and the Japanese extended cut, which is 8 minutes longer. There is a bunch of different soundtrack options on this, all kinds of archival extras. New audio commentary by David West. There is a making of special. It's almost 49 minutes long. Behind the scenes, special video for the pre-release event of this, but they are kind of crushing it with the Jackie Chan 4Ks right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, 88's just like the care that they've treated just like Hong Kong genre cinema is. I am so greatly appreciative of it, and I don't know, like I this is one I actually haven't seen. I will watch any Jackie Chan movie, any Sammo Hung movie, so I'm very very excited to check this one out.
Chris is sharing that the brand new release from Fun City Editions is only $15.99 right now. Breaking Glass is $15.99 on Amazon. That's pretty damn cheap. Good to know, Chris. Thanks. This is something that made a lot of people happy. September 22nd, 88 is putting out a 4K and Blu-ray release of Hackers from 95. How do you feel about Hackers, sir?
I've never seen it.
Nice.
This is a huge blind spot for me. It's one that I have very much. I keep meaning to get this Shout Select 4K that they released, but I just haven't yet. But I've been wanting to. I mean, I keep hearing from everyone who's ever seen it that I would love this movie. So.
Yeah, this is a classic. Most people that have seen this love it for so many different ways. Matthew Lillard is great in this and got like third billing on the cover of this, which I don't love. But I'm stoked that this is coming out from 88 Films. I don't think they've had a really great release over in the UK, so that's nice for them. This one, we've got a brand new 4K remaster. I don't think it's any different from the Shout one. I think that they're using the exact same one and calling it a brand new 4K remaster because it's brand new to the UK. Probably nothing different. But the big thing here, you got Dolby Vision on this, and you've got Dolby Atmos, which the Shout release does not have Atmos. So if you're super into great sound, this is the one to get for sure. We've got audio commentary by the director and Mark Kermode on this, and then a look back at Hackers, a brand new interview with the director and some cast members and all that stuff. I don't know that those are actually brand new. I think they're kind of playing loose with the definition of new because it's new to the UK and it happened at the same time as the Shout and they were brand new then. I don't know. There's a weird way to justify it, but good movie. A lot of people love it. It's very, very 1990s. It will feel so dated if you're watching it for the first time, but worth it for sure.
I mean, he's rocking a floppy disk on the cover, so
he's got to hack the planet somehow. Then next up from them is 1973's The Man Called Noon, coming on Blu-ray in the UK on September 8th. This is a Let's see. It says all he knows is that he lost his memory after an accident during a shootout, but why did those men want him dead? Turns out he's a man with a past, a master gunfighter with a history of violence, and while he might have forgotten who he is, his enemies certainly haven't. This is a classic Euro Western with an unusual pedigree, made not by Italians, but by Brits, and I believe Kino released this previously, so there may be another option out there to get this for cheaper. I think it's still available, if I remember right. There's an audio commentary on here by Lee Broughton. There's also an audio commentary. This one is brand new for sure by Troy Howarth and Eugenio Orcolani. New artwork looks great on this film, but I have certainly never seen this. How do you feel about Westerns overall?
Oh, love Westerns. I grew up like in a house where my mom was obsessed with Westerns, and so that's what she was always watching growing up. And I don't know, just really that stuff's like catnip to me. I actually wrote my first Western this year.
Nice.
My first like actual Western. I don't know if it's ever going to get made, but I don't know. I love Westerns, so I am absolutely all in on checking this one out.
Very nice. Are you leaning heavily into the Western tropes out there? Of course.
I mean, it's an anthology with some fantastical elements, but I like to think that like I was paying the right amount of tribute while trying to do something a little different.
Interesting. Very interesting. Reggie wants to know. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
He wants to know if you're a John Wayne fan.
I like his movies. I am less thrilled about the man.
You don't want to be his best friend?
No, not really. But I do. I mean, I like John Wayne movies. So yeah, no complaints there. But can't say I would ever really want to be the man's friend. But I do love like classic American Westerns. I love obviously spaghetti Westerns, but like there is something really just I love about like the old like 50s black and white American Westerns too. So I like them all. So
that is really cool. Now they want to know, are you a James Stewart fan?
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, yes.
Easiest answer possible. One more, I think, or no, two more from 88 Films. Shadow Zone, the full moon film, also coming on Blu-ray in the UK on September 8th. This is wild art for this movie, but it's going to have an audio commentary by Dave Wayne and Maddie Budritz. I believe that's the only extra coming on this. This is done by the same director of gosh, now I'm forgetting. I think he did, was it Slayer? I don't remember. But yeah, Shadow Zone. How do you feel about full moon stuff? Are you into this?
I really love full moon too. I again, not that they hit every time, but like, I don't know. I have such a soft spot for like the Puppet Master franchise. Like, I know they kind of at a certain point maybe are there's a little bit of a decrease in quality, but like I really like the first 5. And like, I don't know, like I just think that like when they hit and they kind of ride that line that they're like almost kind of on the level of like trauma movies where it's like this is like the right amount of trash, but it's elevated just a little bit because of like the spirit. Like I was so stoked that Bad Channels got a Blu-ray release. Like I've had that DVD for a hot minute. So yeah, I love full moon stuff.
We're getting pretty low on number of titles that need a Blu-ray from Full Moon titles now. It's kind of crazy how many have like actually come out throughout the years.
Yeah, like, and they're really good releases too. Like their 4K they released for Puppet Master 3 is really good.
That is such a crazy sentence that we can say.
And it's weirdly the only one they put on UHD, but it's a great release.
It's true. 88 Films, the kings of the cover art that I have to censor. September 15th on Blu-ray in the UK as part of their French collection is Her and She and Him from 1970. This is supposedly pretty damn good, like one of the better of the French films that they've released so far. This is directed by Max Pikas. He's had a couple films come out through Mondo Macabro in the US. This has Let's Calm Down and Talk About Max Pikas featurette. There is a Max Pikas's Grave featurette, some additional scenes from the U.S. version, a trailer, alternate title sequence. But everybody is probably going to buy this for the art. That is it. I am definitely going to be picking this one up, and not just for the art. It looks like a really great movie.
Yeah, no, it's one I'm not familiar with at all, but always interested in the French stuff that that 88 deems necessary to release.
Yeah, there's some questionable ones. Over in the UK, 101 Films is releasing Bad Lieutenant on 4K on August 18th. This, of course, got a UK or 4K from Kino here in the States fairly recently. Once again, they've got listed as brand new extras an interview with Abel Ferrara. There's a location featurette on Bad Lieutenant. There's a limited booklet with a bunch of new writing, including friend of the channel, Rich Johnson, who's on this one. Then archival extras. There is a Making a Bad Lieutenant, an older audio commentary. Have you seen Bad Lieutenant?
I have not, actually. I've actually not. My like blossoming appreciation for Abel Ferrara stuff happened later in life, so I feel like I'm still catching up. Like I still haven't seen the Arrow release of King of New York, but I mean, like I love Driller Killer, love Ms. 45. That's actually probably one of my favorite movies. So excited for the UHD of that coming out, but I have not checked this one out yet, but I really want to.
I don't love this one. I love Harvey Keitel and other stuff so much more, but this is, for a lot of people that like this movie, they like worship this movie. It's a very stylized movie for sure. And Ferrara, he can be a little hit or miss, but man, I really want to know, when is that MS or Miss 45? I was going to say MS 23 is a joke, but I probably shouldn't. Or MS 13. But yeah, Miss 45. Let's get a brand new release of that in print from someone.
Yes. Oh my God. Because have they officially announced that yet, or is that just a rumor? I guess
it's been like a very public rumor that Arrow might have it. Yeah.
Right. I could not be more excited if that's a reality.
Yeah, I would love to see Arrow do that. Okay, so we mentioned sales earlier. Kino Lorber has launched their spring into summer sale. There are more than 700 titles on sale. You get free shipping at $60 and over. This sale ends on July 21st. That's a long ways away. So you got a little over 3 weeks. This is one of the bigger Kino Lorber sales. So this is like every 2.5 months-ish, every 3 months, they'll do a sale like this. It's not their, hey, it's Friday and 6 things are discounted by 8%. Now, these are like the $8 titles to $18 4Ks. Kino, are you somebody that goes and trawls through these sales when they come up?
I've already done it. I already have my cart logged up and everything. There's a bunch of, because that's the thing I love, and I think I realized it today. Like it generally across the board feels like a lot of stuff's getting more expensive, or the sales aren't getting as good. I love that Kino is still, like, I swear to God, like some of the 4Ks in there were like $16.99. Like I was like, oh, they're getting cheaper.
Yeah.
I always feel like I load my basket up with like way too much stuff and then have to make some very difficult cuts, get it down to a sane number. But I've already got my cart loaded up for this cycle.
Every time this sale goes live, I go and add, it's a really stupid number. We're talking like 60 titles to my cart. And I'm like, yeah, these would all be great. And then the first thing I got to do is go, okay, how many of these do I already have? And it ends up being a really embarrassingly high number. And after that, I'm like, oh, there's only 24 left. That's not too bad.
Right.
And then I look at that and I go, do I really need a 4K upgrade to this one? No, probably not. And then after that pare down, I'm down to like 11. I'm like, okay, but do I need to buy 11 things? Probably not. Let's get this to like as close to 60. So there's a lot of embarrassing cuts there.
Right. Yeah, I don't have. Yeah, I'm, and that's the thing. Like Kino's, the breadth of the stuff they put out. Like I remember, like during their last sale, it was like I picked up the H&R Puff and Stuff movie and Boy Moi, like just in the same order, and like seeing those come in the same package from the same label. I was like, I really love this. I love that they're putting these out.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. Next up is another sale. Speaking of Full Moon, their 4th of July sale is live. This is one of their better sales. Again, Full Moon does not do a lot of full site-wide sales. If you're going to shop at the sale, click that link that I just put in the chat there. It helps me out ever so tiny amounts, if you don't mind. There's stuff on sale that's not been on sale yet. Like the big thing for me is the Subspecies Coffin set is on sale. and it's under $100, and that thing is usually pretty expensive. They've got Delirium magazines on sale. They've got their box sets on sale. I believe they are sold out of their mystery boxes already that they were doing, but I mean, there's figures for sale. It's kind of crazy what they're doing.
Yeah, no, that's another one where I've again already loaded up my cart, and I have some very difficult decisions to make.
Nice. Yeah, full moon is a little wild. All right, let's talk about raw meat. We talked about this a couple months ago when they teased that it was coming, but we got some details. So September 30th, Blue Underground is releasing on 4K, on Blu-ray, and on DVD. Raw Meat, a.k.a. Deathline, that they had released previously. You can get this on September 30th with a new restoration. They don't mention a new scan. It's probably the exact same scan. It's just been more restored. This is a brand new restoration from the, what do they call it here? 16-bit from the uncensored OCN with Dolby Vision HDR and a new Dolby Atmos audio mix. On this disc, we're going to have a commentary number 1 with the director, writer Gary Sherman, the producer, Paul Maslonsky, and then the AD, Louis Moore O'Farrell. A second commentary with Nathaniel Thompson and Troy Howarth. And then on the Blu-ray disc, there are some archival extras on there, newly expanded poster and stills gallery, all kinds of stuff on there. Blue Underground. Are you into their stuff?
Love them. I wish they released more stuff. They're actually, like, when I first started getting into actually collecting more, extensively, like, they were definitely one of the labels that, like, early on I really got into. And they just put out a bunch of really awesome releases, and I think, like, I really appreciate their commitment to, like, kind of going back to all their titles basically and doing 4K upgrades. Again, I wish they released more stuff. Like, I'm always like, oh shit, Blue Underground, I like forgot about them for a second. But I'm always like super stoked when they do. Like, I'm definitely picking this one up.
Nice. I forgot about this. Via Vision over in Australia on October 1st is releasing, I'm not kidding here, which for many people it would sound like a joke, but this is fully real. A DVD collection of seasons 1 through 23 of Air Crash Investigation. Yes, 23 seasons of this show. This says, taking viewers behind the scenes with gripping reenactments, eyewitness accounts, and interviews with investigators. The series uncovers the truth behind the most legendary aviation disasters. This is going to be on 63 discs.
Jesus Christ.
Housed in custom-made black box replica packaging. This is like 19 different adjectives. This is very, very silly. This is also really nerdy. This is also super cool. Like, a show like this, I would never expect to get a physical media release like that. And to get a full-blown collector's edition in a giant black box is super ballsy, and I love it.
Yeah, this is great. Is there a price on there? Like, I have to imagine this is insanely expensive.
Okay, so a reminder, this is coming from Via Vision, who is the owner of Imprint Films. So normally you would expect this to be a huge number coming from Imprint. What is your guess on this in US dollars?
My gut is saying in the realm of like $250.
Okay, so that's very low. Remember that the Never-Ending Story is $105 ship.
My bad.
This thing is $182.
Wow.
63 discs is
like, that's the kind of price that like makes me want to buy a show about airplane crashes that I've never heard of before.
Right. So this is $80 more than just the Never-Ending Story Steelbook.
That's great.
Yes, it is only DVD, but it is 63 DVDs in a black box. Now, there is one thing that bugs me about this. It's 2025, and there's not subtitles on this at all. That rubs me the wrong way. Danny says he just wants the black box. Well, the black box itself is $400, so good luck. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this. Friend out of the show, Alex, says he kind of wants it. Yeah, I kind of want it too, but also I'm never watching 23 seasons of air crash investigations.
I know, but like I want to have the option to.
This thing weighs 3 kilograms.
It's like my favorite release of the year.
Yeah, a 7-pound black box just hanging in your movie room. What's that? 63 subtitleless discs in 2-generation-old format. No big deal. Okay, so there is a fundraiser going on from Pulse for a book on the adventures of Bud Spencer and Terrence Hill. That this is really dang neat. It's also going to come with an exclusive documentary. You can go check this out on Kickstarter now. There's all kinds of stuff you can pick up in the rewards. Pulse does this a couple times a year with some really great options for their Kickstarter stuff, and it's always just super neat what they're diving into and giving choices for. Like the big thing, Pulse, for those that don't know, Pulse, I believe, is headquartered in France. I think they're a French company, but they're like, you know what? We want everybody to enjoy this. So for the book itself, there's like 4 different language options to choose from. That's awesome. So cool. Yeah. Go check it out if you're into it. A lot of these movies that they're going to be talking about are not available in HD in the States. So that's something that a lot of people are not going to love. But yeah, you can get this in English, French, Italian, or German. So hey, go support them. Sense and Sensibility from 1995 is getting a 4K release on August 19th. Now, this is not technically the first 4K release because it was released previously in that elusive Columbia Classics Volume 1 from Sony that came out. It has been locked in that box since then. Very out of print, very pricey, and now it's available, making a lot of people wonder, will we finally be able to get a standalone version of Jerry Maguire? Possibly. Who knows? Sense and Sensibility, classic 90s, like Little Women type flick. How do you feel about this? Have you seen this one?
I have not, actually, but it's like, I don't know. I'm a little bit of a sucker for a good, like, 90s period piece movie. So I don't know. I'm definitely open to checking it out.
I remember Emma Thompson being great in this, but I've not seen this in a very, very long time. I don't know. Great cast. I should probably see this again for sure. Mozart's Ghost says I have a thing for Emma Thompson, and I still haven't put my finger on why. I mean, it's the accent. Let's be honest. Plus, she's beautiful. I mean, look at her. Why did that skip one? Because it's pretty skippable. Coming soon on 4K from Warner Brothers is The Accountant 2. This is the die-hard sequel to The Accountant that everybody was after, starring John Bernthal and Ben Affleck. Unfortunately, there is literally nothing else on this disc except for the film, which in 2025, that is rough. No, as far as I can tell, not even a trailer, no featurette, nothing. Yeah, I enjoyed the first movie.
Never saw it.
Yeah, here we go. Next up, Classic Flicks. We got some updates from them. The first is on September 23rd. They're putting up a DVD collection of The Unexpected, the complete series, but not quite. It's the complete series Volume 1. This is coming as part of their Rare Television line. If you want to finish this set up, they will be putting out more volumes of it eventually, of course. This is from 1952. This is an anthology show, has all kinds of guests on it that you'll probably recognize. Thanks, John. Sense and Sensibility was locked into Columbia Classics Volume 2, not the first one. I apologize. I misspoke there. Classic Flicks does some great stuff, and they certainly do not get enough attention, so hopefully people are paying attention now. But if you're not, they've got some other announcements. They are putting out 10 Laurel and Hardy feature films over the next few years. These are all going to be coming on Blu-ray, and they are Pardon Us, Pack Up Your Troubles, Sons of the Desert, The Bohemian Girl, Our Relations, Way Out West, Swiss Miss, Blockheads, A Chump at Oxford, and Saps at Sea. All 10 of these will be coming as double feature Blu-ray releases, not like a box set or anything like that. And it's going to take some time. They're still restoring them and all that. They just wanted everybody to know, hey, these are coming. 9 out of the 10 will have fresh scans and be restored by Classic Flicks themselves. Troubles is the exception here, as that had already been licensed licensed from the UCLA Film and Television Archive. They already restored that, so it's ready to go. There is some upcoming announcements too. The next announced release was supposed to be the TV series Lock Up, the complete series, Volume 1. But they pushed it back because they found a new source for the 35 millimeter materials. So they're going to be doing that better than they had planned originally. And then after The Unexpected, which we just talked about a moment ago, they are going to be putting out Laurel and Hardy, the Restored Features, Volume 1, The Little Rascals, the Restored Silence, Volume 2, which you can see the cover art on the screen there right now. And then probably Lock Up, the complete series, Volume 1. They also still have TV series Angel, Volume 2 and 3 upcoming, as well as Mickey McGuire Silence, more Hop Along, 2 unannounced TV shows, and more. Classic Flicks doing a lot of stuff for old films, which is just so great.
Mm-hmm. And TV too. I mean, I that's like something that I feel like is kind of gets forgotten about sometimes as older TV. And I'm always so heartened by seeing people like take a lot of love and care to like old 50s TV shows that would otherwise just disappear. So
yeah. And literally disappear. Like many of these will be literally thrown in the trash or lost in a fire or, oh no, they all deteriorated and simply don't exist anymore. Next up, I put up a new interview on the channel this week with Beth Morris, who does all of the standard art for Deaf Crocodile, like the sleeve art. She's an incredible artist. Got to talk about some deeper things like AI, of course, and then her process behind these, the software she uses, how she literally got started just through a random contest and was able to speak to Peter Strickland on the phone. Amazing. What an incredible story. Go give that a watch if you're into it. She's done all kinds of physical media releases. I hope you enjoy that. And then that's you. And then we got a couple other things. Cape Light, who is this really hard to pin down boutique label. They put out stuff primarily in Germany, but they release all over the world. They are doing their one title a day announcements for a week, and we've got 6 of those so far. And a couple of these were exciting enough that I wanted to mention them. So Double Impact, the Van Damme film from 91, is getting a 4K release in a media book in the last quarter of 2025. The brand new Toxic Avenger film is getting a media book in the beginning of 2026. Thunderbolt and Lightfoot from 74 getting a 4K media book with new artwork. Also is available as an upgrade if you got their Blu-ray media book. Children of the Corn getting a 4K media book from them. That will be coming with Dolby Vision. Flow from last year getting a 4K media book with a big 48-page booklet. It's going to have some concept drawings in there as well. The one that's exciting to me, though, 1961's West Side Story getting a 4K media book coming this Christmas with Dolby Vision. If they don't release this in the US, I really hope somebody else does soon. I would love to see this get like some big acclaim. Like it'll probably be the studio, I got to be honest, because it's still semi-big here. But I would love somebody like Criterion to put this out, to give it just that cachet. This is incredible. As somebody that was so stoked about a year and a half ago I still can't even believe I can say this sentence, but Richard Bamer, who played Tony in West Side Story, has been on this show. And to be able to interview him was one of the peak moments of my life. I mean, somebody that worked with David Lynch closely multiple times, was in fucking West Side Story in 1961, that was on the forefront of like resistant civil rights documentaries. Yep. He is just an absolute inspiration, and God, I hope they do this right.
Yeah, agreed. This was when I saw this announcement on your page or on your feed, I was so goddamn excited. Like it deserves the best release.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about this where it gets overlooked for sure, and it doesn't need to be. Craig is asking, is there a Thunderbolt and Lightfoot 4K in the U.S.? Yes, from your favorite company, Kino Lorber. They did that in 2023. You can check that out now. Then I think this is our last announcement for the week. September 23rd, we're getting the next release from Welgo, which we've not had something from them. Usually they're putting stuff out like at least every other week, but it's been a bit, it seems like. They're putting out Ghost Killer from 2024 in a 4K release and a Blu-ray release in the US. This will have Dolby Atmos on it, and it will have a making of featurette and original trailer. And again, for those of you unfamiliar with Welgo, they just put out a bunch of really great, really fun Asian films constantly, and nobody else would release most of these. So kudos to Wellgo to keeping that going. All right. That was it. As a reminder for what's coming out next week, let me go ahead and share this other tab. Here it is. Brazil 4K from Criterion. When Evil Lurks 4K coming from RLJE, but reminder that's also coming from Second Sight eventually. Shout Factory with Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia 4K. Monkey Shines 4K. Mishima Life in 4 Chapters 4K from Criterion. The Freaky Tales 4K VHS Retro from Lionsgate Limited already shipping. I've got it 8 inches away from me here. Swimming to Cambodia getting its retail release from Cinematograph. House of the Devil Steelbook from Dark Sky Films, I believe, on that one. I may be wrong. I don't remember everything. Leaving Las Vegas. Life Stinks. The Charge the Light Brigade. Great Balls of Fire. Rush. Malice. A Midsummer Night's Dream. And Roller Boogie. All coming from the best. Oh, is it the wrong week? Oh, that's June. Hello. I'm sorry. Let's go to July. Thanks, Chris. I hate the pop-up ads and Blu-ray.com. So next week, let's actually talk about the real titles. The Big Heat 4K from Criterion. Warfare 4K from A24. Alexander Revisited 4K from Shout. Primary Colors 4K from Shout. Death of a Unicorn 4K from A24. Did you see Death of a Unicorn?
I missed it.
It looks intriguing, and then it got terrible reviews, and I still want to see it, but I don't know.
I'll check it out when it hits Max.
Yeah, that's about how I'm feeling. Tales from the Void. This is a Screenbox release that's supposed to be pretty damn good, actually. I'm very curious about that one. God, this Widow release definitely showing up on the screen a little too big. Lost Country from Altered Innocence coming out next week. Not a ton next week, but again, a reminder, just going to go through here real quick, not read them out loud, but July is a very heavy month for releases. There is so much coming out in the next couple months. Good luck for everybody that is after so many of these, because my goodness, we got a lot to talk about. But that's it. We finally get to the film discussion portion of this. First off, well, I shouldn't say it like that. Animation for grown-ups, Andreas. Have you always appreciated these?
I think maybe, I don't know. I think when I was younger, I found it kind of scary.
Yeah.
Because I think your mind is so constructed in a way to kind of expect animated films to be safe when you're a kid. Yeah. And so when you stumble across something like, I remember seeing the Pearl Jam video for Do the Evolution as a kid and just feel like I was going to have a heart attack. And so I think as I grew up, I kind of felt, and the more and more that I was kind of like introduced to anime, and just, more off the beaten path animated films that I don't know. I feel like at a point I just started really appreciating that, I like that I can still keep up with this medium that I like, but at least it's speaking to me as I'm maturing. That not being said, I don't love animated movies for kids too, but I think that there is something that's been very nice about, there being animated movies for adults.
Yeah, I totally get that. Absolutely feel most of that the same. I was trying to think of this earlier, what was the first animated movie for grown-ups that I saw? I couldn't remember if it was maybe The Plague Dogs, something like that. I don't know. There's so many of these that I have loved throughout the years, but there's also so many of these that I don't know. It feels like there was a long middle period where many of these were just very hard to see. Mm-hmm. Some of them there was no materials, or honestly, there was probably very little demand for many of these. Yeah. But there was always the classics, Watership Down was always available to see. Mm-hmm. Bakshi wasn't quite always available, but at least one or two of them was pretty much always there. But man, once you get past those surface level ones, there is this world of just amazing things all over that you can catch. I'm very excited to check out your list tonight. So as we get into this, did you have rules for yourself? Anything but when deciding your 5?
No. I think it was because there were some that I definitely went to that I was like, oh, that feels like it would fit, but it was honestly, I avoided movies that were like technically meant for kids, but still scared me.
Right.
Like I avoided those. So yeah, that was really it. Like, it was like, and because the thing is, like, there are some in here that I feel like are meant for maybe not adults, but like not for kids that aren't right. Yeah. Like, but like, don't necessarily feel as sort of like dangerous as some of it does. But, so yeah, that was basically it. As long as it was like just not something deliberately geared towards children.
I was trying to put down at first 5 favorites, which I love all 5 of these. And, these are probably pretty high still, but the big surprise for me is that while whittling down the list, this is a very like mainstream list for me.
Mine too.
I really expected it to not be, because this world is so like obscure when you get to some of the greatest stuff. And I bet, we were talking about this Deaf Crocodile release of Tragedy Man. Watching through this again, it will probably start to creep up into this list because it's incredible, and it's certainly not made for kids. But there's really not many of these that I didn't grow up with, watch a whole lot. There's really only one on here that is two, and it happens to be the top 2 for me, that are fairly like new-ish, like last 5 years sort of discoveries. And one of these maybe you could say was made for kids, but even then it's so different than the other stuff at that time. I don't know that it was. So let's get started. We're gonna talk about all kinds of details. We're gonna talk about other titles that are related to these. I'm sure you got some honorable mentions to bring up. Let's hear your number 5.
So my first one is a little bit of a soft landing. It's easing into it because it's not too crazy, but it's just one of my favorite movies. So it might be kind of a strange one, but it's Interstellar 5555, the visual Daft Punk album,
nice.
for their album Discovery. And it is, so I'm sure that like anyone who grew up in the early 2000s when that album came out remembers the famous like anime throwback music videos they did for the tracks on that album, but they actually made those into a feature-length movie that's basically just the tracks from the album, and it tells this visual story, and it's just, in my book, one of the most just like poetic animated movies I've ever seen. Like, there's no dialogue outside of the music. Like, the only words in it are is the music being spoken, but it is just such a lovely story and like very engrossing about an alien band that gets kidnapped and shuttled off to Earth and then forced to make, music that they don't want to make. Like, there's just, again, and I struggle because it's not like geared towards, it's not like a hardcore, like anything. Like, I could show this to, a 10-year-old and it would be fine. But like, it's still, to me, is something that was just, I cherish it so much. And I actually revisited it like a month ago, and I hadn't seen it in since the, when it originally came out. And I was like moved by it. And like, it just, I don't know. I think it's just such a beautiful piece of art. And the fact that like, I feel like so much stuff, especially in that late 90s, early 2000s, that was American stuff, or I guess not American, it was French, but like Western stuff that was trying to recreate anime style fell a little flat. And I just love that they went to Japan and found all these like, manga masters to work on the art, all these, it was directed. I can't remember what else the director had done, but it was a Japanese director who actually directed the movie, and it looks and feels like a 70s animated, like Japanese animated movie. And I will always just love that movie.
This is a deep cut. This is a really great choice. I believe I watched this, like right around, because what year did this come out? This
2003.
Okay. So yeah, it was somewhere around there. This was perfect point for me because I was 16 when it was released and discovering music in a way that was transcendent at the time. And I watched this once and I've not watched it since then. And I still vividly remember at least a few of the scenes that were in this. I should absolutely see this again.
It's and the thing is, it's not the easiest to find too.
No.
There's no Blu-ray release in the States. The DVD, I believe, is long out of print. I know there was a big 4K restoration that they played in theaters recently, but I know there was some controversy in terms of like the elements that they were able to get for it to actually restore. So it's not, I don't know, but I also feel like the lo-fi-ness of it kind of adds to the 70s anime charm. Yeah. So it's, I'm sure it exists somewhere on YouTube or something, or you can find a used copy somewhere, but I adore this movie.
And I don't know. Throughout the years, there have been a lot of bands that have tried to do the whole visual album thing, and quite often for me, they don't work all that well. A couple of them have been watchable and interesting or compelling at least, but I don't know. Very few things have like stuck with me like a couple scenes from this did. But I mean, it's been ages since I've seen this, and now thinking about it, I think the only band that has done something that maybe made me feel like this, and this is a weird pull because it's not animated and it's not even a visual album, but I love the band 21 Pilots, and throughout their history, all of their music videos have told a continuous story.
Oh, cool. And I didn't know that.
Yeah, when you go deep into the lore from like, we're going on like 14 years of albums or something like that, they all have connected, so much so that like one part of a music video will end and then they'll go record an album and show up 18 months later.
Hell yeah.
And the next music video will basically pick up where that was. And now they're in like this weird sci-fi world telling the story that was a very different thing a handful of years ago. And it's really interesting when you dive into the lore. But yeah, when you get a full package like this from a band that at the time, massive, I mean, growing into what they were going to be, just another 10 years after this and taking the world by storm.
Yep.
Absolutely crazy. Oh yeah, absolutely. Great example there, Colton. Coheed and Cambria. Everything is related. I mean, it's all comic books. So great stuff. Incredible band. Love Coheed. Dude, great choice. Really nice pull for the first one. Oh, look at that. Ben found the DVD at the library.
Hell yeah.
He's going to go watch it. That's incredible.
Yeah.
All right. So my first one I'm going to talk about, my number 5 here, again, like a very obvious pick, not necessarily a softball, because this is it's leaning into that R rating, is heavy metal. This had to be on my list. This was like one of the first things I went, oh, animation for adults? Yeah, heavy metal. So this, again, they knew they had an R, so it leans into the blood, the nudity, the let's offend people, but it is evocative. It is a really great set of just like timeless pieces of animation that you will probably never forget. And it is, especially if you watch it at just the right point in your life, this will be your personality for at least a handful of weeks.
See, I think I saw it way too young, because this was one of those movies that when I saw it, I was like, this is scary. I felt like I was definitely watching something I shouldn't have been watching.
Yeah. I think that's the only way to watch heavy metal, actually, is to watch it at like 11 because your brother's friend showed you or something. Yeah, heavy metal is great. If you haven't seen it, there's a really, really great 4K out there. Go check it out. It's a wonderful piece of animation.
All right. And so I'll go to my next one. It's actually already been brought up. You already mentioned it. And so I feel like from here on out, I feel like mine are kind of pretty obvious, but so it's interesting because I'm not going with Watership Down, because in my mind, Watership Down is something like, in a weird British fucked up way, I feel like Watership Down was meant for kids.
Yeah, kind of.
I remember seeing Watership Down. They showed it to me in school, like when I was in middle school. And so to me, that always felt like it was, I mean, it's way too fucked up for kids, but I still feel like it was meant for kids. So I went with Plague Dogs.
No way.
Yeah. I mean,
it's so random that I brought that up. Like most people have still never seen Plague Dogs. That's great.
I fucking love Plague Dogs.
Nice.
It's, so for anyone who doesn't know, it's the other movie directed by Martin Rosen, who did Watership Down, and it's adapted from a Richard Adams, who wrote Watership Down book. And this is the story of two dogs who escape a testing lab, who may be carrying a disease, and the manhunt or the dog hunt that goes on across the UK for them. It is one of the bleakest fucking movies I've ever seen in my life. It is, and I'm like a dog lover, and like, so watching dogs go through what they go through in this movie is so hard. Like, if you're the kind of person who cannot handle a dog dying in a movie, this movie is going to be hell for you. But that being said, it's still so like just beautifully told, so maturely told, just unflinching about like the suffering that animals go through, but like the dignity that animals have in their suffering, and just one of the most enigmatic and just earth-shattering endings to a film I've ever seen in my life. Like, I remember watching that movie the first time, and it ending the way it ends, and just feeling like the ground had opened up beneath me. Just, I was so, I mean, like, I guess in a way I didn't know how to feel because of what the ending is, but like, it still, it shook me so badly that I still carry that like with me when I think about that movie. And so yeah, Plague Dogs is great. There's a really great Shout put out the Blu-ray for that. I was so happy because like before that, I was rocking this bootleg I bought when I was in college of it, just because it was harder to come by. But like, so yeah, Plague Dogs is great. It's a rough one, but it is great.
Funny enough, I was trying not to mention too many titles because I don't normally like giving away what somebody might answer. And I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely not going to bring up Plague Dogs. But nobody ever has the reverence for Plague Dogs that I do. I love that movie. And this, I don't know, there's something about this animation style that the emotional aspects of these two films really hit you because the animation style feels so safe. Mm-hmm. And so you're like, oh, it's a cuddly dog. Yep. Well, let's cuddle the pillow as you cry later. It is such a compelling story, and again, as somebody that loves animals, and like I get pissed off watching somebody mistreat an animal, this movie is probably where a lot of that came from. Just understanding the life that is before me was super important, and this is a masterpiece that happened to not make my list. Because I had to have this next one on, which is going to sound ridiculous after praising that one so much. This is the one that this is probably the closest to being made for kids, but at the time, this is a little like higher brow than we expected to see in the animated series. And so I had to go with what I think is the best Batman movie of all time, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Mm-hmm. I mean, it shows blood. It's a pretty like dangerous story. There's stuff that happens in this movie that is still compelling. Funny enough, didn't know that we were going to be talking about adult animation until earlier this week. I watched this last week, just happened to be lucky. Showed my kids for the first time. This movie still holds up as quite possibly the best Batman story ever told in a film. I still can't believe that the people making the animated series were told, we're going to be taking this theatrical, we're going to do this the right way. By the way, you only have like 10 months to get this done.
Insane.
And all they did was perfection. Somehow they took what they were doing on such a small scale and said, let's do it the right way, and busted ass to pull it out. This movie is astonishing. Mark Hamill gives one of his greatest performances. Some really, really interesting, just random things that they do in the story. Like Stacy Keach plays a really great voice role in this. Kevin Conroy is Batman. He always will be. This is the Batman masterpiece. Funny enough, the other Batman animated movie, I will say, well, there's many, but the other like very mainstream popular one, the Lego Batman movie, also very great. But Batman Mask of the Phantasm is probably the best Batman movie literally ever made.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to argue. The fact that they were able to take like what was so special about the animated series and translate that into a feature film is unbelievable. Like that's a good one. That's a really good one, and it counts. It counts.
Thank goodness. I mean, the big thing is like there's shooting happening and there's actual blood, which in the animated series up to this point, I don't think they had shown any blood in the series. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this took it up a couple notches.
Yeah. All right. So my number 3, I don't know. So it is it's Urusei Yatsura, the movie 2, Beautiful Dreamer. And I don't know if anyone is familiar with the series Urusei Yatsura. It was an anime in I believe the late 70s or early 80s, and it was created by it was based on a manga by Rumiko Takahashi, who did like Ranma One Half, Mizana Kuku, just one of the all-time great comic book writers. But so the premise of the show is very lighthearted, very hijinky. It's about a guy who accidentally proposes to the daughter of an invading alien warlord, and the daughter falls in love with him. And it's just very silly and fun. Lum is the alien woman that I think some people may be more familiar with. But anyway, so they made the series, and it's very fun. And then they did one movie that was a very good expansion of the series. And then they made this second fucking movie called Beautiful Dreamer that is one of the most haunting films I've ever seen in my life. It is, so it's directed by Mamoru Oshii, who did Ghost in the Shell. And it is, it's like that thing that people say where it's like they didn't need to go that hard, because they're adapting a very lighthearted anime, but then for the second film, it is just this beautiful examination of dreaming and the fear of the world slowly ending, and the sort of just anxieties that it taps into and plays around with like liminal spaces in a way that like was 40 years ahead of the game. And like, it's funny because I know that a lot of people compare Satoshi Kon's Paprika, which I fucking love, to like Inception and stuff like that. Like, I think Inception also owes a lot to Beautiful Dreamer, because it is just this out of nowhere movie that is just one of the like, there is shit in this movie that's not like jump out of your seat like scary, but it haunts me. Like years down the line, it haunts me. Like the concepts that it plays with in terms of dreams and loss and love. And again, it is based on a hijinky, silly Japanese series that they just went super hard for the second movie. And there's actually a really great Blu-ray of this out from Discotheque. So I saw this movie out of context, never having seen the series, and I loved it. And I've subsequently seen the series, and I love the series, but the movie itself is a masterpiece.
I know nothing about this, but that sounds incredible. Yeah, wow. I don't know what to say. I am sorely lacking on the anime that I've seen, which is wild. I mean, I don't know how I've not just sat down and watched them all. The hard part, I think, for me is watching too many of them back to back. They start to get very samey, and I want to allow them to like breathe and have their time and make an impact. But then I just don't make time for them because there's so many other great things to watch, and I probably should. I know that I would love them.
It's hard because I mean, like Urusei Yatsura in specifically is like, it's like 400 episodes or something like that. Like it's just it's so daunting, like to get into it, and they're great, but it's a commitment, and so
yeah,
I get it.
My wife and I are watching Veep right now, which is 8 seasons, I think. Mm-hmm. We've been watching that for, I don't know, like 9 months. It's very difficult, and 400 episodes makes me want to put a bullet in my mouth. Number 3, I wanted to choose a stop motion title here, and I have always loved stop motion stuff. It is a magical medium that I first fell in love with. Some of the random ass like Harryhausen scenes of the skeletons is probably the first thing I ever saw, and I mean that led to moments like music venues used to play the skeleton scenes before bands played, and I was like, oh, I saw this when I was a kid. But I was trying to think of what is the best thing to share here, and just going back to the moment that I saw this movie, I really remembered last week how I leaned into just absolutely shitting on somebody that is doing stuff like this, and I wanted to talk about Wes Anderson's Fantastic Mr. Fox. So he's not a bad director. I love some of his stuff. So I'm going to highlight Fantastic Mr. Fox here because this movie God, this movie is special. I watched this movie, I don't know, 30 times in a span of like four months probably.
Wow.
Because like scenes in this movie sparkle in a weird way. It is beautifully done. The voice work in this is incredible. The humor is spot on. Wes Anderson had not tripped and fallen into the vat of his own style yet, and so it's well done in a way where he's not directing from in his own ass, and I love that. And the films that he made before this, I mostly love too, but this thing, I was so not ready for him to have a masterpiece of a stop motion film. And again, just something about this movie and the main fox is incredible. I think that this is probably the last of his that I was blown away by. I don't know. The fact that he's made so many friends that every cast is just stupidly stacked really helps in this one specifically, because it's just memorable voices told through characters that you can envision other things while you watch this glorious representation of them on the screen, and it just turns into magic somehow. Love the story in this movie. I don't know. Making stop motion is already difficult.
Yeah.
Pulling this off should not literally be possible.
Right. And then, and just the commitment to doing that movie the way that he did it, the fact that, like, again, it just feels so like a movie like that needs to feel tactile. Like, it's the thing we were talking about early on, where it's like one of the things that is so great about, like, when you're animating physical objects, whether it's paper or puppets, like, just that movie, you feel like you could just like reach out and touch that movie. Like, it just, it's so, that's a great one. And like a weirdly, like, at times, like, sad movie. Like, it's very silly and fun, but like very like, very profound moments, like totally unexpectedly. So I love that one.
Honestly, that I haven't voiced it like that, but that might be what I'm missing in the newest Wes Anderson stuff. Is I feel like it's just, let's get the light and breezy jokes out and everything's so happy-go-lucky. But like the Phoenician Scheme didn't have anything that made me feel like the Fantastic Mr. Fox did.
Right. Yeah, and it's one of the, and I'll say that, like, Wes Anderson was one of those directors who I grew up along with his stuff. Like, when I was discovering how much I loved film was right around the time Rushmore came out. And so, like, I'm very attached to those movies. And he has done some movies that I have really liked, but I do feel like there are some movies, like, I haven't seen the Phoenician Scheme. And like, if I had known, if I'd gone back in time, told, 18-year-old Andreas, like, hey, there's a Wes Anderson movie coming out and you're not going to be that interested in seeing it, I would think I was crazy. And like the Venetian, I'll still give the movie a shot, absolutely, but it's just, there's something about it that I'm just like, I don't need to make the trouble, I guess.
Right. It's absolutely worth watching. Some of the performances are incredible, truly incredible, but it's just not a movie that I'm going to go home and go, oh my God, that was the best Wes Anderson. Yeah, not like that.
Right. All right. So we'll go into my last two with my second one here. So I will warn you, both of these are the most basic. These are just the most basic. You type in a Google search of give me 5 adult animated movies, these are going to be on that list. Cool. Anyway, so I am going to go with Akira. I mean, Akira is Akira, and it's just one of the most confidently told stories I've like ever seen in a movie. It is so dense with like the world it created, there is not a second wasted of trying to kind of explain the world to, but all you need to know, in the opening of the movie, a nuke went off in Tokyo and now we're here 30 years later. Like, that's it. That's all you get. And like the way that it creates such a dense, rich world just through the way that like they animated it and just the kind of like minimal way that they reveal the story as it goes along is just breathtaking. I think it is just, I mean, like you can go, there's a really great video on YouTube where a guy basically went through the big motorcycle chase frame by frame, and every single frame of it is just like a painting. It is just, there is something interesting happening in every 24th of a second in that movie. And I just think that like it is, and then obviously it's beautiful and confidently told, but it's also just like a really fucking good sci-fi movie that like is so like gross but like you feel so attached to the characters. Like I think it particularly has just like an incredibly touching finale, in a way that like I get like teary-eyed watching the end of Akira. Like I don't know. It is just, I just think it's like one of the most magnificent movies ever made. And I know it's a super basic choice, but I fucking love that movie.
Yeah, so as Gary just said in the chat, I literally just got Akira. I've not seen it.
Oh shit!
I've never seen Akira. I again way behind on anime stuff. It would be absolutely wild for me to have an anime pick here because I've seen so few of them. This would probably be the one. This is the one that everybody says I have to see. So I've eventually relented. Just got it in. What was that? 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and I need to make time for it.
I'm super excited, and at least it's a movie. There's no show. There's just the one movie. But I am super excited to see what you think about it because it is a fucking special movie.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. And pretty much everybody that's seen it has worshipped it, and any movie that's like that is one I have to see for sure. I just said that it would be wild to have an anime, which is why I was teeing up for this amazing heel turn. My number 2 is Perfect Blue. This movie. What do you say about Perfect Blue? I adore. If you saw my list of like the top 10 21st century stuff that was going around this week for the New York Times stuff, many, like 4 of my movies are like these crime serial killer type films that are absolutely incredible, that are these almost procedural, just shocking type films. And Perfect Blue was that in the best ways for me. I also, growing up with a music background and loving animation, this ticked like every box for films that it possibly could for me. The music was really well done. The animation is just stupendous for when it came out. The voice acting in this, people don't ever talk about that for Perfect Blue. It is so good in this movie. Not to mention, this movie is just telling a gnarly ass story. Like, if you just wrote this down, this would be a compelling freaking book. And they do it in a way where you're just like glued to the screen the entire time, wondering what the hell they're going to do next, because it's so just batshit in what they're telling in this random like K-pop animated type movie, basically. And you're like, okay, I mean, I'm here for the ride, but Jesus, this is rough. Love this movie. And what's great is there's so many movies over the last handful of years. Even one of my favorites from, I think it was last year or the year before, Red Rooms. I think probably got a lot of inspiration from this film. Absolutely love Perfect Blue. It's literally one of the only animated or anime films that I've seen, and it made that much of an impact that I'm just like, okay, maybe I'm done. And so I've hardly seen anything else.
Satoshi Kon is a fucking master. Like obviously it's a tragedy when anybody dies, but I remember when Satoshi Kon died, like, because he died so young. That was one where I just felt you instantly felt the absence of that dude's work, like what could have been, what else he could have made, because Paprika is a fucking masterpiece. Like Tokyo Godfather, just everything that he made was so goddamn wonderful and different. And like, so I adore Perfect Blue. That is a magnificent movie.
It is crazy, not just like how much everything he did was a masterpiece, that I haven't seen all the other ones, but like everybody says that, so I get it. But the fact that they are all so impactful from one director is like immediately legendary status. It is crazy how much he's been able to have that impact. Love that.
Yeah. All right, so I will go with my number 1. Totally basic. I don't care. It's my number 1. It's Fritz the Cat. I know we touched on Bakshi, and when we were talking about him, like I didn't want to go into it too much just because I knew Fritz the Cat was going to be my number 1.
Yep.
Bakshi is like on my Mount Rushmore of idols. Like in terms of like a filmmaker, that's a dude that like when I saw Fritz the Cat the first time, it was just so unbelievably earth-shaking for me. And just, because I mean, like, we talk about these movies that like you see too young, or like you're kind of like, whoa, I didn't know cartoons could do that. Like, I didn't know movies could do what Fritz the Cat did. Like, it's just so kinetic, and like the fact that this came out in the early 70s, and like just appreciating the context in which that movie came out. And like but I mean, so aside from that, it's just, I think, an abrasive masterpiece, and just sort of this really provocative movie that really rattled a lot of people, and I think still does. And I also think that, like, to me, Fritz the Cat also is just this insanely timeless movie in terms of like the political discussions that it's having. Like, the fact that Bakshi was calling out like performative politics like in the 70s is just wild. And like the way that he was talking about the way that like privileged people will aestheticize and sort of like fetishize the suffering of people who are oppressed was just like, I remember seeing this movie the first time and just being like, oh, no one's even talking about that now. And like, Bakshi was doing it in the 70s. Like, that's insane. And it's just, I don't know. Like, it's just, I know it's like a very problematic movie for some people, and which it's hard to argue. I mean, like, but it's just, I think it is just one of the most beautiful pieces of art ever made. Like, it's just bursting with like vision and imagination, and like and Bakshi is one of those people. Like, I could listen to that dude wax on about the industry and his process for like, I remember back in the day before podcasts were a thing, I used to have this like 40-minute Bakshi NPR interview on my iPod Shuffle that I would just listen to on walks, because it was just so, I just love the way that he thinks about things. And I don't know. So Fritz the Cat, and so I could honestly talk about, you know, Coonskin and Hey Good Lookin' and Heavy Traffic and just American Pop. Just like all of his movies are masterpieces to me, but Fritz the Cat is the one. That's the one movie that just, I mean, it's so foundational to the way I look at art. And so I will always just be, you know, indebted to that film.
Gary wants to know what's your second favorite Bakshi.
I think I would probably go, it's hard. I like want to say Heavy Traffic, but I think American Pop is just like one of the most beautiful movies ever made. Any scene in that movie that I can pull up with just like one of the songs, and the rotoscoping animation is just so beautiful. So I'll go with American Pop.
So for me, my number one is one that you didn't even run down there. It's got to be Wizards. I love
Wizards. I mean,
Wizards,
it's so good.
So it's just, I don't know. Every scene you're just like, what are you doing?
He is a maniac. I mean, like, it's so, and now, if anyone doesn't know, like, you can just, all he does now is kind of hang out in his house and make these beautiful paintings, and he'll like live stream him painting. And it's just, he's just such a treasure. Like, I fucking love that dude.
Incredible. Had no idea. That's fantastic. I'm going to have to go find one of these live streams. Love this pick. On my list of Bakshi, I think Fritz would be my number 3, but it's like, you're ranking again, like we were just talking about with Satoshi Kon, like really impactful, incredible. All of these are amazing movies. And Fritz is, I mean, you say problematic, but let's just be honest. A lot of people are, I don't know, vulnerable and sensitive to a point where they just don't expect it. And just that lack of preparing for that, you're going to be caught off guard. And that was kind of the point of what we're doing here. We're putting a, not even all of these movies can I say, are we putting a story forth, but we're putting a message to you in a way that you were not expecting me to deliver it. And Fritz the Cat is maybe his best one for that, because it's just so off the wall and really forward thinking.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, I remember hearing about it growing up and being like, oh, that's the horny cat movie, right? Like, where he has sex with people. Cool, yeah. The rated X one, I got it. And then when I actually ended up watching it, it was just like this incredible examination of race relations. Like, it was just, I love it. I adore that movie.
Yeah, it's Bakshi. He's incredible. I have no idea why, like I said, that Bakshi did not end up on my list, but hey, I love the guy too. My number one, though, it's the other one that I was talking about that was a fairly, in the last few years, recent discovery. And yeah, I've talked about it a lot on the show. Sue me, I don't care. This thing is a masterpiece. And out of all of these, it's the movie that has personally, like, really wowed me in the way that it is just not something I ever expected to see. And that is the Deaf Crocodile release of Felidae. Felidae being a German animated film about cats that are looking to their humans that they call can openers to serve their lives. And in the first, 3 minutes of this movie, you are already treated to the fact that there is a murder that has taken place. A cat is dead, and people are trying to find out why. There are scenes in this movie that are terrifying, that are animated beautifully. You see cat buttholes. You see testing happening on cats. You see cats literally murdering other cats. There is stuff in this movie that is absolutely not made for kids. But this movie is harsh in a way that is humane, and I don't know, something about it is just a very interesting medium to tell a story like this that I don't think I've seen anyone else tell a story like this in this manner. Absolutely taken by this from the moment I saw it. Felidae should be seen by everybody. The 4K release by Deaf Crocodile is mind-blowing, is probably the best way to say it. It looks incredible. The extras, I don't know how this commentary turned out this great. It's because I'm on the commentary. Deaf Crocodile is absolutely, like, just incredible for rescuing this, because it literally was about to not be able to be rescued. It is a movie that has soured with age a little bit because of what the original author of the book has developed into over life, and it doesn't deserve to have that reputation, because this book is forward thinking, it's progressive at heart, it is absolutely at the forefront of like 9 different problems that the world has, and it's told in the style of probably my favorite animator of all time. And when you're able to get a film that is talking about cats killing each other, and you go out there and you are able to make it in a fairly Disney-fied way, but do it in an animation style that is sure not necessarily just like it, but they were literally told, you need to try to make this in the style of these other animated movies that we've been seeing come out of America for the last 10 years. And it ended up being amazing. Don Bluth is my favorite animator, and there are scenes in this movie that you could have told me Don Bluth drew them. I'm like, yeah, okay, he definitely did. Yeah. So watching this, it hit in the most like cinephile way for me, because I was raised on Don Bluth, and now I got to see people he inspired do a new story that was compelling to me, and it just scratched every single itch. I love this movie, and if you have not seen Felidae, everybody out there should see this. Yeah, Felidae.
I hate that I have not seen it. I remember seeing the release of that when Deaf Crocodile put that out, and just being like, God damn, that looks really cool. But it just I haven't gotten around to it yet. But like, yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is one that I need to like push to the front to watch, because it just, I don't know, that everything, because I'm an acolyte of Don Bluth.
Yeah. Ronnie's shouting out Gwen in the Book of Sand and Heroic Times. Deaf Crocodile's done both of those. Yeah, both incredible releases. Gary's shouting out I Lost My Body and Your Name. Have a good night, Ben. Craig says the lead animator character designer was a Don Bluth studio alum. Oh. Yeah, they were all about it and literally said, let's do it in that style. So yeah, cool. It's a masterpiece. Absolute masterpiece. Andreas, we did it.
We did it. Two cat movies at the top of the list.
Yeah, this is a very cat movie friendly show, so I'm appreciative that we were able to do this. Craig says Pied Piper and Felidae. Again, Pied Piper was the other stop motion that I wanted to bring up. Unfortunately, I didn't want to sound like I'm sipping too much for Deaf Crocodile.
Simple way, it's fine. earned it.
Jerry saying the Fantastic Animation Festival. It's a collection of shorts but had a nationwide theatrical release. I need to see that. CGTV says, I wish I could see Akira for the first time again. I envy Ryan. You're in for something you'll never forget. Honestly, I may do that in the next week, just be able to talk about it on the next show. If I get time, I'm working on 2 visual essays right now. If I finish both of those, I'm going to try to get that done this weekend, because we're probably not doing a huge amount of the theater this weekend. So hopefully Akira's here for sure.
And I assume you got the 4K of it?
I did I think it was the Target sale.
Okay.
Buy one, get one 50% off. And it was, gosh, after the discount, the 4K Steelbook was like $14.
Jesus Christ. just the idea that you get to experience Akira the first time in 4K. Like, that's very, because I think most of us watched some janky VHS back in the day. So that's very cool.
So as usual, I want to promote everything that I can for Andreas, but the big thing, I linked to the Vinegar Syndrome store. They've already shut it down before Subscriber Week, so you can't even buy the films from the website right now. But please come back to this after or during Subscriber Week. Go buy the 2 films that Andreas is on there. In the meantime, go follow him on Blue Sky, follow him on Instagram. Are you anywhere else on social media?
Letterboxd, does that count?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
I'm on Letterboxd. You can see what movies I'm watching and dumb lists I'm making.
What is Letterboxd handle?
It is just Andreas Petersen.
That is the easiest thing to possibly remember right now.
Yep.
Follow along specifically on Blue Sky for watching him, keeping him accountable for writing every day.
Please.
It has been a joy to interact with you over the last couple of years, and I'm just glad we were able to make this work. I know that you were like, hey, come on, but I felt like for the longest time that you'd be so fun to have on here, and it absolutely lived up to that. So thank you.
No, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun, and also, again, just I want to flash back to however many years ago of just following along, and like I don't know, like it's very strange to me that I'm on this show that I've watched so many times.
Well, on that note, if you want to have a closer relationship with all of us, check out the Patreon link in the description below. We'd love to have you in the Discord. Come hang out. It is our watch-along weekend. We got a poll going right now. Sunday night, we're watching a movie all in the Discord together. So come and stay up way too late and watch as I have to go to work very, very tired the next day. You all are amazing. I love to see you every week. We'll see you next time. Pray for Will. Next Thursday is going to be a bitch. Everybody, and stay safe this weekend. I know that everybody's got a holiday coming up. Your families want you around. Be safe. We'll talk then. See ya. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share it with someone else that may appreciate this.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description